There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear-facing, forward-facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/bloodpressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get her ass!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Beatty.
You're not even a has-been.
You're never was. You're never was. You're never was. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. A new show of the Sports Loudmouths. As you know, I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, which is WWSRN or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, Speedy Petey, what is going on, my friend?
Mostly frustrated with technology over the course of this weekend.
Why is that?
While I was editing stuff, my software was being annoying. The off-the-mat file was the absolute worst to edit, but beyond that, I'm doing all right.
You have two.
Beyond that, I'm doing all right.
Two crazy people doing a show. Well, that's why.
Well, yeah, there is that.
I mean, I don't know how you run that show, but obviously you producing it with two crazy people, as Josh Silverberg and Lyle, a.k.a. the nut job overrated man himself. So we will get into all the stuff in sports tonight as the All-Star game is going on as we speak. At 9:30, we'll be talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. He'll be joining us. And at 10 o'clock, finally, the great Brandon Jacobs. We will be talking to ex-Giant, two-time Super Bowl champion running back. Yes, the D-Man himself, Brendan Jacobs. So we got a great show of guests, as everybody knows. We will get into Juan Soto rejecting the 15-year, $440 million contract offer by the Nationals. And what does that mean? Well, he looks like he might be dealt it. The MLB and Rob Manfred forced to give $185 million in settlement money following the 21 lawsuits involving minor league players. So that's going to be interesting as we move forward. I would say this. Minor league players are underpaid. They should be paid at least between $100,000 and $150,000 a year, each and every one of them. They are playing in the major leagues. If you look at and I know everybody says, well, what about the NBA and the D League? And they don't make a lot of money. I think if you're a professional athlete, no matter where you're playing, what league you're playing in, you should be making enough that you can take care of your family.
NBA makes in that range.
It doesn't make any sense why these baseball players aren't getting the money that they should deserve. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Deshaun Watson says he will sue the NFL if they suspend him for the full year. So, Deshaun Watson threatening, he's pointing his finger at them. Don't you dare, or you might have a lawsuit in your lap. So I would love to see this, the showdown with the NFL and Roger Goodell and Deshaun, a.k.a. I'm going to point my finger, Watson. The Spurs say that they will take on a first-round pick to take on Russell Westbrook's contract. So the Spurs have obviously reached out to the Lakers and said to them that we will take Russell Westbrook's contract if you give us a first-round draft pick. So the Spurs trying to rebuild as they're trading away pieces, and as their coach looks like he's on his way out. We'll see what happens in his final year as the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Could Matthew Tkachuk be the next star player traded from the Flames? Couldn't reach a long-term deal in settlement arbitration. The New York Islanders should be reaching out to the Calgary Flames as we speak.
The Devils already are too.
I mean, Lou Lamoriello, he is struck out on obviously Johnny Gaudreau. Why wouldn't he go after Matthew Tkachuk? I think he's to me, the more sane one out of the Tkachuks, by the way. I mean, I met them both, and I met their father too. I
remember your interview with
not
their
the
father. Yeah.
Not a likable person. I will say that. I met him at the draft. I also met him at the Stanley Cup Finals.
I remember your interview with Keith at the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latest on Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant trade rumors as well. And we'll get into going into the second half of baseball. And if we have time, we'll get into some NFL conversations. And we'll obviously, the Beef will be in the studio on Thursday, which means we can go over his thoughts of the NFL and what's going to happen as the NFL season slowly but surely moves closer. So,
AKA why the Cowboys won't make the playoffs.
And by the way, a shout out to the 495 leagues. Me and Speedy and a bunch of my coaches are going to be coaching a 10-year-old football team. We're putting it together as we speak. So I'm very excited to coach my first young football team. So I'm setting it up. I'm setting a coaching staff. It's going to be really, really fun. So anyways, we have about 20 minutes before our first guest. So why don't we get into first? I think we'll get into the MLB. I want to get into the Rob Manfred thing because to me, watching baseball my whole life, baseball has always been a part of my heart. I've been a Yankee fan really since the day I was born. I mean, the first pair of clothes coming home, from the hospital was Yankee pajamas. And I grew up a Don Mattingly fan. And as a kid, I always respect the game because of what the game brought. Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Roger Maris, Ted Williams, the greats, some of the greatest sports athletes we could remember. Mickey Mantle, don't forget about him either. When we look at the league and what the league has done over the last couple of years, and remember, in the 60s and the 50s and 40s, there wasn't any minor leagues. There was no minors. It was either you were in the major leagues or you're done, you're going to war, or you're going to sell milk at the doorstop. I don't know. To be in the major leagues, it takes your all. It's probably the hardest sport to get in as a major league player, as a major league athlete. When we look at baseball and Rob Manfred, and I am not a big Rob Manfred fan. I think he's the worst commissioner in professional sports. And that's saying a lot when you have guys like, I don't know, Roger Goodell, Gary Bettman, and Adam Silver. Not the highest praise for any of them. But Rob Manfred is a guy that's not only ruined the game since he's taken over it, but really hasn't come to the conclusion of understanding what the position lies and holds for the position to be a leader of a national or a big market sport. We talk about baseball, and listen, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that the minor leagues and minor league players were going to sue the major league because they feel that they're wrongly mispaid. And I've been saying that for years. Why aren't the minor league players making more than $50,000 or $60,000 a year? How are they supposed to? How are they supposed to help their families move forward in life? We talk about, obviously these major league players are making hundreds of millions of dollars. You're seeing Juan Soto reject a 15-year, $440 million contract from the Nationals. Why is it that these minor league players aren't making more than $50,000 a year? And Rob Manfred had no answer to it. None. And over the last couple of years, since he's taken over for, yes, Bud, a.k.a. Stupid Selig, who is in the Hall of Fame. No, we talk about Steinbrenner. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but the guy that brought steroids, the guy that let steroids go on, is in the Hall of Fame. Does that make any sense to anyone out there?
Not when Barry Bonds is in him.
We talk about this league, and I could talk about the major leagues over and over again because I always say that these players are highly overpaid. But you can't attack them. It's not the players' fault that these owners are making billions of dollars. But the fact is, Rob Manfred and the major league should have been paying these players a lot more money than they were getting. And we can't sit here today and argue that these players weren't underpaid. And I knew that if this was going to go to court, and if these players or teams were going to take this to court against the major leagues and Rob Manfred, they were going to lose.
And also, it was a lot of former minor league journeyman type players too that were suing him for these, I guess, malpractice of this not being able to pay them, like you were saying, $50,000. These organizations are rich for a reason. Even teams that don't spend a lot of money, a lot of them have rich owners too, and you can't spread that kind of wealth out to minor league players. I've seen photos of a lot of the meals and a lot of the hotel rooms that they're getting, and it seems like they're like in high school or college. Like I've seen college basketball players in the NCAA tournament when they get there have much better treated than that. Like that shouldn't happen. These guys are professionals. And this article from sportspromedia.com says a lot of these minor league players were only paid $4,800 to $14,700 annually. And a lot of the current players are going to get $120 million distributed within the minor league systems of that lawsuit money that Major League Baseball is going to be forced to pay out. So they're going to get some kind of level to that. But that's definitely something that should have been implemented right away within this new CBA. And it's despicable to me that Major League Baseball covered this up and let this go on forever. Now Rob Manfred's denying it too. He's not even saying that it's going to be like it's a big deal. Oh, they're making a minimum wage. No, you're not. You're violating minimum wage issues in any kind of level of employment in the country.
And I will say this: Rob Manfred, of course, is going to protect the owners because that's what his job is. He's supposed to protect the owners and protect the brand. That's what he is trying to do. But for them, and as an organization, not really protecting the other athletes that are playing in the minor leagues and trying to make excuses. And I mean, excuses why these players aren't making the money that they should be making. And really, $185 million for a settlement is not a lot of money, because you have to pay out not only 21 players, you're going to have to pay out a bunch of players that haven't been, not in the league anymore, or in the league right now, trying to wonder and trying to figure out why they weren't paid what they should have been paid. And to me, I'd be frustrated. I put my time, my life, and my family on the line to try to play this game, because I always believed that I can make it to the majors and become a superstar player like a Juan Soto or a Pete Alonso or a Aaron Judge or Ohtani, guys that are, and some of these guys, like Ohtani, he played in the minor leagues in Japan or whatever, major leagues in Japan, but it's not playing, in the, I guess you could say in the, I'm trying to figure out the
amateur baseball.
No, not even amateur baseball. I'm trying to figure out the major leagues in the AA, single A. That's what I mean. Yeah. You have to go from single A to double A to triple A to just get into the majors. And you put your time, you put your life on the line. Some of these guys play 10 years in single and double A and never get to triple A.
Especially now with the option rules, too. They can be optioned 5 times a year, so you're not going to be getting a major league salary a lot of that time either.
Here's my question. When you look at single A, double A, and triple A, why is it there's some kind of salary boost when you move up from one division to the other, or one league to the other? That would make a lot of sense. If you're playing in single A, obviously you're a young player. You just got drafted. Okay, you should make $50,000 a year. You shouldn't make top dollar. And when you get into double A, you should make $100,000. And then if you get into triple A, you should make $200,000. It makes a lot of sense. And why? Obviously, these owners don't want to pay them, because they're paying all these superstar players in the majors, which are getting overpaid. Now, I'm going to say this again. With baseball, there is no salary cap. There is none. And to me, teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Cubs, these teams have endless money. You're talking about the Yankees estimate every single year on just endorsements and sponsorships close to $500 million. Just endorsements and sponsorships, jersey sales and hats, $500 million. Then you talk about tickets. They're driving in probably between 300 and 400 million. 162 games, 50,000 seats. You average it out. You estimate it's almost full capacity every single game over there at Yankee Stadium. I don't know the total, but it's a significant amount of money. They're bringing in close to $1 billion a year. $1 billion. Just the Yankees. $1 billion a year. And the Yankees aren't paying their minor league players what they should be making? That, to me, is disgraceful. The major leagues are a disgrace. Rob Manfred has been a disgrace since he's taken over Bud Selig's job. By the way, the most stupid, dumb, ridiculous person that ever commissioned in professional sports in Bud Selig.
Wow, you're that bad, huh?
Yes. Let me tell you something. This man, and we all know what happened in the 90s, okay? Remember when baseball went on a strike? But this was mainly because of Bud Selig. If anybody remembers, I think it was 94, 95.
94, and Expos fans will never forgive them.
It was a strike, and baseball was downhill. Baseball at the time, going into the strike, was the number one sport in America. Number one. Better than football. Better than hockey. Better than every one of them. Any sport, tennis, golf, you name it. Baseball was number one, and then the strike came. Everything went to shambles. And then what happened? Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa happened. Steroids happened. And Bud Selig knew everything was going on, and he brushed it under the rug. Brushed it. Why? Because he knew baseball needed to be saved. And then after baseball was saved, he took all the credit. And then when obviously the politicians and the House of Representatives and everything started slamming the door on baseball, what happened? Bud Selig threw everybody under the bus.
A sport that's full of controversy for its entire existence, really, in baseball too. Even if you want to go before the strike too, with all the Black Sox scandal, you're talking about the spitballs incidents, all the stuff that's gone on even before that too. It's Pete Rose with the whole gambling thing. I mean,
it's a disgrace that Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. An absolute disgrace. And Rob Manfred sitting down with Pete Rose when he took over. And listen, Pete Rose, he bet on baseball, whatever the fact he did. And now that gambling is allowed, why shouldn't Pete Rose not be in the Hall of Fame? It's ridiculous. But nevertheless, if you don't want Pete Rose to ever coach and never ever be a part of the majors again, that's fine. Pete Rose's name and his jersey and him as a plaque as a baseball player should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I've been there. He has a whole section on the 5th floor.
Yeah, but he is not in the Hall of Fame.
He's not in the Hall of Fame, and it's dumb. Yeah, he has a whole section devoted to his impact on the game.
He is not. He's not declared a Hall of Famer.
Correct. And
so that to me, it's an absolute disgrace. Barry Bonds not going to the Hall of Fame, a disgrace. Roger Clemens not going to the Hall of Fame, a disgrace. Jeff Kent, who was never accused of any steroids, how is he not in the Hall of Fame? I'm sorry. You have these stupid writers deciding if they should go in or if they should not go in.
Sport of corruption, both in the major league front office and now with the Hall of Fame writers too. Like you were saying, they're technically separate entities, but still, they're not changing their values of what they want in the game. Yes, the game is not going to be squeaky clean, understandable, but you're hiding corruption again.
It's always been corrupted. Professional sports has been corrupted. Betting has been corrupted in sports forever. And now it's legalized, and it's going to be legalized in almost every single state by probably 2025. Okay. And we all know that's going on.
Right.
It's been going on. And the fact that baseball has brushed everything under the rug because they're trying to protect their brand, there's no hiding it from the fans. The fans know what's going on. They're not stupid, even though some of the people that are running the organization are dumb.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact is, when we sit back and we look at what's going on in baseball and what they've done to the minor league teams, what they've done to the minor league players, what Rob Manfred is trying to do, changing rules, changing this, changing that, he might as well learn how to change his damn underwear because he doesn't know how to clean it. He doesn't know how to do anything. The guy's a moron.
Josh says Pete Rose not in the Hall of Fame, but Harold Baines being in is embarrassing.
Absolutely embarrassing.
Yes, absolutely. Jeff Kent should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't liked by the media, which makes them biased towards him. It's gross. Yes, that's what we're saying. These writers have a vendetta against certain players, yet other ones will get in. And baseball has the stingiest ones of all for whatever reason. Even like just general classes. There was a year, like 3 years ago, there wasn't any inductees at all. Like that should never happen. Like there's plenty of worthy players in this era and past eras that don't get into to baseball, yet they'll let some of their, I guess, favorite guys in right away. Like we were talking about a couple months ago with David Ortiz.
You know, and I will say this. When you look at the league and where the league is going, people would say the league is moving on the way up. But really, what we have seen and the way the game has really chartered ever since Rob Manfred has taken over, we have juice balls, we have new rules. The game has completely changed since Rob Manfred has taken over.
And there's still local blackouts and bad marketing.
And the way the game has really produced a new brand of fans, you would wonder if baseball will ever be on top again. Will baseball ever catch up to the NFL and some of the other growing sports like the NHL that is growing? Yeah. It's not quite there, but it's growing. You could see, look at the numbers. Look at the NHL numbers, especially the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah. The Stanley Cup Finals are probably one of the most watched professional sports playoffs in all of the sports world. And when we look at the game and where the game is going, how could you sit here today and say it's in good hands?
Yeah, and I get in. You're not seeing any growth of baseball whatsoever in really any areas. The players are really doing it all on their own at this point. I mean, the major leagues are outside of a couple players like Judge and Ohtani. They're really not marketing anybody. They're
the
still
best player in the league is Mike Trout.
Right.
And if he walked on the streets right now, could you tell me, answer this question. If he was walking on the streets right now, could you tell me that you knew he was walking past you on the streets of New York? I would bet you 9 out of 10 people wouldn't even know it was Mike Trout. They wouldn't even know who he is.
Right.
And he's the best player in the league. But I guarantee you, if LeBron James was walking on the streets, or Zach Wilson, who's played 1 year of football and he's not even a star, if he was walking on the streets of New York, you would know who he is. What does that tell you?
It seems like you have to either talk or just be instantly popular to know who you are in baseball. And again, outside of a couple stars, like they don't endorse, they don't market them well. It doesn't even matter that they're in a big city or not. Some people just get forgotten about in baseball, and that's a bad job, a bad look for this sport as a whole that's trying to grow. And I don't think it'll ever catch up to these other sports because of that. Now, it's just the way that modern social media works with these younger fans. So younger fans aren't as attracted to the game of baseball. You were talking about that a couple of weeks ago with the NBA. A lot of them are player fans as a result. You don't really see that in baseball because it's not really that kind of team, that kind of strategy concept. So you're not going to get that same kind of level. And also, just with the new rules, the pace of play stuff, it's going to be very hard. But it's going to be a very hard time to market teams when you just can't get them on the TV screens as it is, because there's marketing blackouts and all that stuff.
How many people watch the All-Star game in baseball? How many teams? And everybody's going to say, well, nobody watched the NBA All-Star game. Nobody watches the NFL Pro Bowl.
Right.
Probably true.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you guys that right now, the MLB All-Star game is the least amount watched in professional sports. The NHL is watched more. The NFL Pro Bowl is watched more because it's football. And basketball, because of the slam dunk. Yeah. Even last night, the home run derby. Do you know it was the least watched home run derby in the last 10 years? Right. I don't care what Snug says or what Jeff says. They could sit here and say whatever they want. They're just on the level of saying the stupid stuff that they say. That's why nobody cares what they say. I don't care. Especially Jeff talking. Jeff has a lot to say about people, but Jeff is so wrong about half the things he says. He's an idiot. He's a moron. So watching him and Snug post up things just makes me wonder if they're actually sane.
I actually want to read some of the comments from our guest that'll be coming on in a couple of minutes. They actually, baseball owners break out in a sweat if you mention labor costs. It's in their DNA. And then the owners want to keep it team-centric. They don't want the players having power or personalities, which is absolutely true. I don't think baseball wants to value it that way because it's not supposed to be individualized, but still, they should have some level of marketability where, like Errol was saying before, Mike Trout, who's a humble superstar player, is just forgotten about. Nobody knows
by
who he
far
is.
The best player in the league. By
It's
far.
like you have to have some kind of either controversial statement or be popular instantly right away to be able to be marketed in baseball, or you're not going to go anywhere. There's plenty of them in baseball that just don't get the attention they deserve.
Jeff, before we get to our guests, and we're going to go to a quick break, you know what's so funny about Jeff? And Jeff talks a lot about it. I think he tries to be a tough guy on these messages over here. But Jeff is the biggest you-know-what in the world. He talks a big game. Any day Jeff wants to call the show. Jeff, call the show Thursday. Call the show Thursday. And me and you will go head-to-head on a sports knowledge. What do we call that? What do you call it? No, not a debate, because I'll kick his you-know-what. No, we'll go through what he knows, how much sports he knows in his background. We'll go through trivia questions, okay, Jeff? We'll let Speedy pick out the trivia questions. How much you want to bet? Out of 10 questions, I will absolutely demolish you because you don't know anything like you think you know. And we're not going to go to college football because I don't follow college football as much as you do. But any other sport, you pick the sport, Jeff. Pick the sport. You pick the sport. And I'll go head-to-head with you, and I will absolutely demolish you. 1st to 10, okay? 10. Well, Speedo, keep asking questions until we get to 10. And I bet you I will get to 10 a lot faster than you will. And we'll see how much. Then we'll see who the clown is, because the only clown here is you. And you won't do it because I'm not going to say it on live radio because you know what you are. You're a chicken, and that's what you are. You and Snug, you could be a team, and I'd still kick both your asses. How's that? How about that? Any day, Jeff, pick the sports. Besides college football, because college football, I don't follow like you. But every other sport, hockey, baseball, basketball, football. How about this? Even golf. You think you know so much about golf? Even golf. I would kick your you-know-what. So any day, anytime. Keep talking. Anyways, when we come back, we'll be talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover here on the Sports Loudmouths.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
631-672-3108 is the number. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouths. As always, Tuesdays and Thursdays. As of right now, we will be changing probably the days and the time in August, but we're very excited as we have been excited with some of the great guests we've had on the show. At 10 o'clock, we'll be talking to ex-NFL superstar Brandon Jacobs. But right now, we have a very special guest. First time on our show, we are now talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. Steve, what's going on, man?
All right. It's a pleasure. How you doing?
We're good, man. As you heard the last take with baseball, and then our crazy guest, Jeff from Tampa, who obviously doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, but we know you do. How are you doing? Obviously, with the COVID situation, you and your family, and everything that's been going on. Is everything good?
Oh, yeah. We're out here in Southern California, so we get to do everything outside. You wear a mask. We're getting ready to go to a Dallas Cowboys camp here in a few weeks. It's going to be great.
We have a lot of Dallas Cowboy haters and lovers that listen to this show. So are you a Dallas Cowboy
nothing
fan?
in between. Nothing in between. You either love or hate. There's no middle road.
Are you a Dallas Cowboy fan?
Yeah, I actually am, but I'm also probably the biggest critic. I mean, 25 years of 500 ball. Don't get me started.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. Steve, obviously you're an NFL analyst. What were some of your thoughts this offseason so far with some of these NFL teams? We'll get into the draft. Obviously, free agency opened up. What stood out to you so far in free agency, winners and losers as far as what you've seen?
Okay, free agency again this year, the big winners were the owners, as they were able to really keep the prices down. Free agency now is broken up into 3 distinct sections. You have the day one guys who still get pretty good money, but and that's where the new bombs are being signed, the huge contracts, these day one deals. Then after that, there's about a 2-week break, and you get another big group, and then you get another group right after the draft. And that's it. It's just a trickle. They've really slowed down the free agent process. A lot of teams are re-signing their own players, and it's different. It's different.
So we've seen a lot of receivers and also quarterback movement of top players because of that. Like they're getting the leverage, especially now with the wide receivers too. Do you think there is going to be some extent where it becomes like a player power league for those top players, like you were saying?
It almost already is. I mean, everybody waited to see what Aaron Donald was going to do before they made their move insofar as the Rams. And then, like you said, right now the wide receivers have tremendous leverage with the new contracts. So they're actually maneuvering their teams into whether they'll stay, whether they'll go, what they get. And it's the haves and the have-nots in the NFL now. The few guys at the top are making mega bank. And then beyond that, it's guys that are first, second, third year. When it comes time for that second contract, if you're not a top-tier guy, you're gone.
As everybody knows, we're talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. Steve, we're here in New York. Everybody was looking forward to the Jets free agency market. They added Lincoln Tomlinson. They added some pieces. They added 2 really good tight ends in Conklin and Osama. And everybody was looking at the draft. And then they had one of the best drafts. They have arguably the best player in the draft. They drafted Sauce Gardner. Then they went after arguably one of the best wide receivers in the draft in Garrett Wilson, and then moved up to get Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall and really dominated. A lot of people thought dominated this year's draft. What were your thoughts so far this offseason for the New York Jets?
Well, I want to know who actually did the draft for the New York Jets, because it wasn't the New York Jets I've seen in the last 10 years. No way. They shoot themselves in the foot. They do something wrong, and then just pick after pick, move after move. Just solid. I just blew my mind. I think the Jets are one of the team that can do the bounce. Go from bottom of their division near to the top. They're not going to make the top, don't get me wrong, but they have so much talent right now, and it can all come together in a heartbeat. You know how it goes. And one of the things you have to do is you have to be able to cover that A1 receiver, that WR1. There's only a handful of those in the league, but they face a few of them. And they get Sauce Gardner. It's not enough to get a player that's really good, but a player that fits your division, that's going to help your weakness. I mean, home run.
So speaking of shooting themselves in the foot, Jacksonville, they've been another team that's done that in drafts the last couple of years. And they went for a big surprise at number 1, taking Trayvon Walker, which really was only thought of in the number 1 pick in like the last month before the pre-draft process. So what are your thoughts on that and the way they've built their team?
Well, I think their whole draft, it at least showed a thought process. That's what I think about it. And they're hanging their hat on Trevor Lawrence. And one of the big questions I'm looking at now and I'm studying is which players are going to make the leap this year. I don't care if it's a rookie, second year, third year wide receiver, whatever. And I come down to Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance of the 49ers. One of those 2 guys, I think, is just going to explode. I think Trey Lance is the bigger boom bust. I think Trevor Lawrence is the more sure shot. But he's a really good guy. He was just in an incredibly bad situation. And everything they did in the draft was geared. It was a purpose. It wasn't necessarily a home run, but you could see the logic behind their draft. And I'm hearing in their mini camps and everything that it's organized. You're going in. It's focused. It's all good news down there. Now we're going to find out what Trevor Lawrence can do.
I believe in the Easter Bunny too. So,
I mean, anything's more organized and focused than Urban Meyer.
As far as we talk about Trevor Lawrence, we've seen it many times in many different years. If everybody remembers Archie Manning, he was dealt a bad hand. He went to the Saints and never really became the player that he once people thought he once was going to be. So, and we can go up and down the rankings every 10 years when there's a player like, I don't know, Ryan Leaf, okay? He's one of those guys. Jamarcus Russell. These guys had tremendous talent coming out of the draft. Tim Couch, okay?
Oh, yeah.
All these guys, but never produced. Why? Because they got put in bad situations. So
I want to know what you got against Tim Couch, lumping him in with those other 2 morons.
I like Timmy. I remember when he came out of the draft.
Yeah, he just wasn't good enough.
Well, he wasn't good enough because of the team he was playing for.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
absolutely. But the other two guys, oh man. I was there and got to see in person some of that stuff, and it's just unbelievable watching the meltdown on the sidelines down in San Diego, yelling at the fans. I mean, looking like a petulant child that he actually is. It was just an amazing meltdown. Amazing.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf is definitely, but he had a lot of emotional problems. But maybe if he went to an organization that could have controlled him, and listen, at the time, San Diego was a very well-run, oiled machine. They just went the route of Ryan Leaf when they did. Did they make a mistake? Obviously, they did. I mean, that set their team back, but it also had ways of falling in a good way where they got Phillip Rivers and now obviously have Justin Herbert, and maybe eventually. Even though it's not San Diego anymore, it's the LA Chargers.
The third team of LA.
Maybe they'll.
And don't forget the QB right before Rivers. Remember him? He turned out pretty good too.
Yes.
And so they got Smith, who was the GM, and he had the huge ego, and he wanted his guys, so he drafted Rivers. And then, of course, the other guy hurt his shoulder. He went to the Saints. Yeah, he didn't do too good.
Nah, he won a Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers still hasn't won one. And I think the Chargers are still waiting for one. So there you go. So, but anyways, as everybody knows, we are talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. The New England Patriots. And that's the team that everybody's looking at. You heard Mac Jones looks really, really good. I mean, he's lost a tremendous amount of weight. He's in shape. His arm's a lot stronger. Some people are saying they added Parker. They added some weapons in the offseason. They have a very good running game. Their defense was one of the best in the league. But they don't have Tom Brady there anymore. And it seems like it's been a problem ever since he's left. What are your thoughts to this year with a better AFC and a better AFC East with some of these teams like Miami, the Jets, and even Buffalo?
Pats are in trouble, man. And it's who they lost in the coaching and who they gained. I mean, they lost Daniels, who, say what you will about him as a head coach, offensive coordinator, that guy knew his stuff. He took Mac Jones and designed an offense for him that he could handle perfectly. It was awesome. Well, he's gone, and Matt Patricia, you guys remember him.
Matt Patricia's the offensive coordinator now? Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, make him defensive coordinator, but no, make him offensive coordinator. So they're going to run the ball. So anyhow, it's a mess. It could work out pretty good because I will never bet money against Bill Belichick. I'll give you advice, but I won't bet money against him. Just no way. But I mean, it could work out, but I think they got a tall mountain to climb, And it's the Buffalo Bills division right now.
Mm-hmm. So the starting quarterbacks this year, I know they're not really the highest hype guys. Kenny Pickett, there's a chance he could start, but beyond that, not really thought of as that. Do you see any of them as future developmental starters, even though they weren't as highly touted in this draft?
You mentioned the guy right there, Kenny Pickett, and for some reason he's not highly touted. Small hands. And I don't know why. He doesn't get any respect. I love that because he can wear it on his shoulder. He's a student of the game. He's in his home. It's where he played. 15 feet away, he went in that door and played in that stadium. It's not going to be too big for him. If he can get in the game, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And it's going to take a while.
Justin Herbert, he seems like the talk of the town. Everybody thinks he's the next quarterback to move forward, just like Joe Burrows did last year. Went to the Super Bowl, took his team all the way there. But this could be Justin Herbert's year. I mean, every single offensive weapon came back. Their offensive line got stronger, adding Johnson in the draft. They got arguably the best offensive lineman in the draft last year. And then you look at some of the defensive weapons that they brought in. Two superstar players, and Khalil Mack and obviously J.C. Jackson from the New England Patriots. What are your thoughts to the Chargers this year with Justin Herbert and team as a whole?
I like the Khalil Mack addition. Of course, Chargers fans tend to go overboard and they think of Khalil Mack from, 3-4 years ago. That's not who they're getting, but they're getting a really good guy. And so he's going to help. And I totally agree with you about Justin Herbert. He's the real deal. He's not quite where Burrows is. I mean, Burrows made a huge leap. But he definitely has the skill set, the arm. He's fearless. He makes good decisions. And he has an underappreciated wide receiving core, if you ask me. He really does. Those guys can play. And so it's just a matter of keeping that running game consistent, which if they can avoid injuries this year, I think they can surprise a lot of people.
So 2 quarterbacks that are looking to get paid right now, Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. Do you think those teams will get their deals done, or do you think they'll end up elsewhere?
They're going to get the deal done. Kyler Murray's a mess. That whole situation's a mess. He's handling it like a child. He had all the leverage anyhow. He didn't need to pull all of these levers to get done what he wanted done. All he had to do was ask. So there really wasn't a problem. And he's making drama where he doesn't need to. He's going to get everything done, but he's really hurt himself with the team. I'm hearing on the backside, he's not impressing people. He's an incredible talent, but so is Brown at wide receiver, and see what happens with him.
How's everybody? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up what you was going to say.
Well, that's just it. QB at that talent level are too valuable. They're going to get their deals.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Vanover. Steve, you look at the league, especially from the NFC to the AFC, and really over the last couple of years, it really has been NFC dominant, and the AFC has been tailing behind the AFC has been tailing behind the NFC. Now, all of a sudden this year, with Russell Wilson going over there to the AFC, Khalil Mack, and all these top end or semi-top end teams in the AFC are becoming world power teams. What are your thoughts of the AFC and the NFC and the transition from the dominance of the NFC to now the dominance of the AFC?
The pendulum swung. You nailed it. It was pretty close, actually. It had been evening out. But with the movement there that you just described, on paper right now, it's there. But it might not matter because the NFC still has Aaron Rodgers. They still have Tom Brady. They still have the Los Angeles Rams and Stafford. And Dak Prescott, you keep waiting for the Cowboys to wake up and play up to their potential. So I'll throw that out there, but I'm like you. No, I'm not buying that ticket either. The Eagles, I think, are going to surprise a lot of people this year.
So speaking of the Cowboys not playing up to their potential, as a fan of the Cowboys, what do you think is the biggest reasons for that kind of thing?
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones.
I'm not an idiot, man. I mean, it's there's only one reason. You look at the one constant who's been in charge of the talent, the decision making. There you go. I mean, does anybody disagree?
No, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with blaming Jerry Jones for things, especially with all the contracts they've had to trade.
The best thing that happened to Jerry Jones is Snyder getting in the league, because then people talk about Snyder instead of Jerry Jones.
When you look at, obviously the AFC, and we talk about the dominance of some of these teams, like the Las Vegas Raiders. We're adding, obviously, Adams to a Derek Carr. Now you have Josh McDaniels running the team. They have weapons. If Jacobs could stay healthy, they have a tremendous chance of really exploding this year offensively. And then you have the Bengals, which their weakness was last year, their offensive line. They added Collins in the offseason. They drafted very well. They added some offensive line help in the offseason as well. What are your thoughts to some of these teams in the AFC that a lot of people think could really take a step forward over the last couple of years of the growth of their teams?
The Bengals are better now than they were in the Super Bowl, period. And that should scare anybody. I don't care which division you're in, because you're going to have to get by them either to get to the Super Bowl or face them in the Super Bowl. I think it's probably going to be the Bengals. Now, of course, the Chiefs, when you got Patrick Mahomes, you can't ever say never. The Raiders adding incredible talent. Daniels is a total wild card using that talent. There's not a lot of film on what he's going to do with these guys. So he's going to have an early season grace period to pull some stuff. It should be a lot of fun. The Bills are better now than they were at the end of last season. That should scare a lot of people. The Colts, okay, they're there. Nothing to say about that. But the Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs, the AFC West, man, who wants to be in that division? Not the Denver Broncos. And they're not a bad team. They're just the worst team in that division.
So is there any team, I guess you mentioned the Broncos potentially as one of them. Is there any team that's getting a lot of hype that you consider maybe one that could possibly underwhelm, drop off badly, and not succeed their expectations? Kind of like what you saw with the Browns last year?
The Raiders. The Raiders, I mean, you never know with the coach like Daniels who got pulled out of that Broncos situation. You just never know with that. Is he going to get the player respect, X, Y, Z? If he does, then it's not a problem. But yeah, that could always blow up on you. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they don't get their QB situation solid, to decide where they're going and how they're going to get there, that team could implode in a hurry. And that's a shame because TJ Watt there, I mean, oh my goodness, man, you don't want to waste that talent. The Cleveland Browns, when they suck, they don't really disappoint anybody, so that doesn't fit. But the Ravens and their QB, what's going on there? Until that gets solidified, man, that team scares me. That team could go in the toilet.
Again, we are talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steve Hanover. Last question for me, Steve. We look at obviously the New York Giants. They added Dable. They added some, obviously some interesting offseason acquisitions. Their draft was pretty good in the first round, and then really, I don't know where they were going in the second round. Where do you think this team is going to go? Do you think Dable is the answer as the new head coach of this organization?
I'm sorry, I actually lost you at the beginning of that question.
Dable going to the Giants as he becomes the new head coach of the New York Giants. Do you think that the Giants, obviously what they did in the draft, adding the two pretty good players in the first round in the top 10, their draft after that really didn't stand out. A lot of people gave them a grade C after the first round. Where do you think the Giants are this year going with a new coach, new GM, new really run organization?
I love all of the moves that the Giants are making on paper. Again, this is a draft that they did. A lot of people didn't agree with it, but there was a purpose behind all the moves they made, the moves they made in free agency. They moved on from some situations that haven't worked out. So on paper, it all looks good, but they've got to actually execute now. They've got the talent, but there's as many questions with Daniel Jones as there is with Saquon Barkley. Barkley has problems with blitz pickup. He's got that, I got to hit a home run-itis on every play. There's no doubting his talent, but he's had a hard time with injuries. He wants to prove himself. His confidence is shot. It's a mess back there. If they come up with a balanced offense, if Daniel Jones starts playing consistently, they can play because their defense is solid, and they improved it. They improved it a lot. They finally got the inside settled. They got the chance to add a little pressure, and their linebackers are really good. I really like their defense. They could surprise a lot of people because there's no expectations. But Daniel Jones, you tell me, does he give you a lot of confidence? Nah, it's questions.
So my last question, it says on your Twitter account, you're actually a veteran. Do you have any stories of your time?
When I first, well, I am a veteran, yes and no, but my job was classified.
Only reveal what you can
I
reveal
can't
legally.
really talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. Gotcha.
Well, my classification is if you have a gun over there, throw me one so I could shoot one of the guys on the feeds right now that I want to just to absolutely murder, okay? Because he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. But we really appreciate you joining us, my friend.
I'll salute your service too, even if it's classified.
There you go. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
We really appreciate you joining us, and we definitely would like to get you on as the season progressively gets closer. Definitely like to know your thoughts on who your winners and losers this year are going to be, who your Super Bowl champion is going to be this year. But we'll definitely, the next time we get you on, we'll go through it and ask you those interesting questions, my friend.
Hey, well, real quick, really enjoyed getting a vibe for the rhythm. This is a lot of fun. And I see that you're getting Brandon Jacobs on.
Yes.
I remember watching him play, man. He's what was he, 6'4", 260 something?
Yeah. Yes.
A man among boys. That guy was scary, man. He was scary. I remember he had one run, it was like 73 yards, and he just abused some people and then showed that long speed that he has. And he was incredible.
Well, we really, first of all, we'll tell him that you said that. And we'll definitely listen to the interview because he's great. He's been on the show quite a few times. He's a great personality. This will be the first time we get him on a video feed because over the last couple of years, we've got him on a couple of phone calls. He's been very, very busy. He's been sick. So Brandon's going to be joining us tonight. We're really excited to get him on a video feed and have a little fun with him. So we were very, very excited to get you on, and we're looking forward to get you on very, very soon. Thank you very much for joining us, Steve.
It's a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
We were just talking to Sportsline NFL analyst Steven Vanover. He was fantastic. He really was. Great personality and a Cowboys fan. The
Brandon's not going to like that.
Well, he gave Brandon Jacobs a lot of compliments. So I think you like that. I mean, Brandon Jacobs was part of what did they call the Giants running back?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's what they called him. So interested to see what he's going to say to the Giants, where he thinks the Giants are going this year and where the Cowboys are going to be this year with Dak Prescott and company. It'll be interesting. But I think Micah Parsons, they hit it right. They were definitely right about that. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where the Cowboys go as the OTAs are about to begin and start. So, and you're going over there. So I definitely would like to hear your take, Steve, what you think about the Cowboys and where you think the Cowboys are going when we get you back on the show.
Absolutely. Will do. I'll probably be able to come straight from camp to this show the way that the time frame fits. And hey, one last thing about Brandon Jacobs. When he was playing, we always wondered why they didn't give him the ball more. And we were so happy they didn't. We were like, they'll give him the ball, and they would give it to Ahmad Rashad or something like that. And we were so happy, man, because every time he touched it, he was good for like 3 to 4.5, 5, 6, 7. He would destroy you. I could never figure out why they didn't give him the ball more.
Yeah, well, Brandon Jacobs was a beast, as we all know, and he won 2 Super Bowls for one reason all. Earth, Wind, and Fire just absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. So, as we all know. But thank you, Steve, for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking to 2-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs here on the Sports Loudmouths.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. 631-672-3108 is the number. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Was that barking?
Yep, this is Snoop Dogg's woof.
Well, I like that. A little woof. And we got the big dog himself. As we all know, we are now talking to Giants two-time Super Bowl champion running back, Brandon Jacobs. Brandon, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, nothing much, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're happy that you're healthy. I know last week you weren't feeling that well. My producer over here was telling me. How are you feeling today? Is everything okay?
Still a little bit stuffy, but I'm okay. I can't complain. I'm above the sauce, so I'm good.
Well, speaking of sauce, the Jets got one. I know you don't like that, but he's gonna be saucing up the fields of New York Giants and Jets Stadium over there. So MetLife Stadium will have a little bit of sauce. I know it's not something that you want to hear because you're a Giants guy, but Sauce Gardner is going to be rocking here in New York for a while.
All right, Brandon, you could have ran him over in your day.
Sauce is a phenomenal talent. The guy's great. He went to a smaller school in Cincinnati, and he proved everybody that you can still go get drafted high coming from a school like that. Doesn't have to be a Power 5 school, which I think Cincinnati is now on their way to the Big 12. But Sauce was the best DB in the draft, easy.
So, Brandon, why don't we go through what the Giants have done this offseason? They brought in Dable. They brought in, obviously, a new GM. The organization is going another path. Over the last couple of years, it just hasn't worked for them. Really, ever since your team has slowly but surely retired, we talk about some of the greats, Eli Manning. This isn't the same team. What were your thoughts with their draft? Obviously, adding Thibodeau and one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. And really throughout this offseason, what stood out to you the most?
Well, what stood out to me most was, one, we needed an edge rusher. So Thibodeau is going to actually be, he was one. I think he's the first guy since Jason Pierre-Paul that we kind of excited about. So I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited to see him roll. And I think they drafted the big lineman, Evan Neal, I think it was. Yeah, big right tackle. I think from Alabama. I think that's going to be, you got Andrew Thomas on the other side, and Evan Neal on the other side. So I think our bookends on the offensive line is going to be pretty special. I think we got a chance, man. I still believe in Daniel Jones. I want to see Saquon stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if he stays healthy and could have just a above average season, I think he'll make the Giants that much better.
So the big dilemma too, as well, is with Saquon staying healthy or struggling to stay healthy, they got to pay him soon. So we've heard this mantra of now running backs not getting paid as much. So do you think the Giants will end up paying Saquon, and does he have to stay healthy this year in order to prove it?
He have to stay healthy this year, but if he stays healthy or not, the Giants isn't going to give him with the Cowboys, dumbass Cowboys gave Zeke. I shouldn't call them dumb because I like to see guys get paid. Mm-hmm. That's not why I'm calling them dumb. I just don't like them. But I'm glad Zeke got paid. I think McCaffrey got paid as well. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Giants is going to put that type of money on a running back. I just don't. I don't think they're going to do that. Saquon could come out and rush for 1,500 yards and have 25 touchdowns. I still don't think they're going to do that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think that they're cut to do that.
As everybody knows, we are talking to two-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. Brandon, the Giants have a very interesting schedule going into the season. Obviously, game number 1 is against the Titans. Their schedule gets very, very easy going into the middle and end of the season. Do you think that this Giant team could, because of their schedule and because of their division, win 9 or 10 games this year?
Well, you said the middle toward the end of the schedule could be very, very easy.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize those teams you're saying it's easy, they might be looking at the Giants the same way because we haven't had anything to smile about the last few years. So why should they feel like it's, why should we feel like it's easy? One. I do think we can win 10 games this year. It's all about health, though. You got to stay healthy. There's always the healthiest team in the end is going to be the most successful team. It's been like that for the last 50 years in the NFL. If you can stay healthy down the stretch, or at least be mentally and physically tough enough to play through an injury, I think your team is going to be okay.
So we've seen this offseason a lot of players forcing their way out, getting more power across the league. Now, I don't know if it'll ever get to the same level of the NBA, but can you see the NFL kind of having that level of player power with certain superstar players and key positions like that?
No, I don't see that happening ever. I don't see that happening ever. Like, the NBA build power teams. I mean, they build super teams. Philadelphia Eagles tried to do that about 10 years ago, and it did not work out for them. They had everybody and their mom on that team, and they didn't even make the playoffs. I think that was actually the year.
The dream team.
We won it. But I don't see a lot of NFL teams gravitating toward it, because to be honest, it's not that many stars. They don't have that like that many big names at each position where you can create a team like that. But I just see the NFL, to be honest with you, with the rules and the way things are going. It's going to be interesting for me to see where the league ends up in the next couple of years.
Brandon, you look at the running backs that you played with, obviously the Earth, Wind, and Fire, which you had over there with the New York Giants when you won the two Super Bowls. And now you look at the Giants with Saquon Barkley, and everybody's trying to wonder. Everybody remembers when Saquon Barkley was drafted, he was a top 3 pick, and everybody was questioning why the Giants in the top 3, Saquon wasn't the final piece to help them win a Super Bowl. Why would you go with a running back? And you saw what the Giants did in the time that you guys dominated. You had 3 guys that helped in many different ways. Do you think the Giants have gone the wrong route when it comes to the running game, or do you think they're going the right route with Saquon Barkley?
I definitely think they're going the right route with them drafting Saquon where he was drafted at was big time.
Mm-hmm.
They can help the team out. I think he rushed for what he had 1,300 yards that season.
1,300 yards his rookie season. Yeah. Yes.
Like the year after that, and did the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he got hurt the last 2 years, which should be coming up on year 5 for him, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
he's actually proved that he was worth every dime they paid him when he's healthy. The kid, I mean, he's a phenomenal talent, still a generational talent. So I want to see I'm excited to see what he can do this year, and I think the Giants went the right route. Now, when I was there, we had me in the 4th round, Derek Ward in the 7th round, and Lamar in the 7th round, and we ripped off 2 Super Bowls. Derek and I rushed for 1,000 yards together, the same backfield, and then me and Lamar came close to it the year after that. So I mean, we talking about a 4th round pick and 2 7th round picks. So you just never know. Drafting in free agency is just like pissing in the wind. You just hope. You don't really know what these guys can do. You don't know if he's just a good college player at dominating colleges. And now you're out here with grown men that got kids to feed and wives to keep happy. It is not the same. It's not the same. So you really, I think some of the only guys who can pan out as first round picks that is going to be good is edge rushers, and that's about it.
So from player to coach now, Tom Coughlin, What was he like? And do you have a great Tom Coughlin story that maybe a lot of fans don't know about?
Coach Coughlin, man, is a phenomenal leader. I would not be led by anybody else. I would not go into war with anybody else, like other than Coach Coughlin. We had it out. I mean, him and I, we had our disagreements, like sometimes. But I love Coach to death. And would never pick anybody like he's that guy. Like I remember he told me a long time ago. He said every time Ahmad is late for anything, he was gonna fire me because I'm supposed to be the leader. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, where the fuck that comes from? Like, are you serious? Yeah, you're supposed to be the leader of the group, and you're supposed to make sure your guys is on time all the time. Okay, that makes sense. Take out of my pocket for him. Gotcha. Makes sense. But I was on his ass from that day forward.
As everybody knows, we are talking to two-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. I remember those Super Bowl teams, and what the Giants built around was the trenches. They built around the defensive line. In the first one, they had Michael Strahan and a young O.C. Umayor, and then obviously the year after, in 2011, they had Justin Tuck and then O.C. Umayor. They built around the defensive line, and they always had a very strong offensive line. Do you think that is the route and that's the way of going? Not necessarily the quarterback, the star quarterback is building around the two parts of their line. That is the way to win a Super Bowl?
I agree. Get your every other year, you get your offensive lineman. Then next year you get your edge rusher. Then you go find you a DB. That's the third year. That's what I think. Because anything offensively other than alignment, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get out of a wide receiver. You don't know because you haven't been covered by top tier players every Saturday. You're going to be covered by top tier players every Sunday, Thursday, Monday. You're going to be covered by somebody that's just as physically gifted as you are. So, I think going offensive line and defensive line is always your best bet as far as drafting talent.
So that whole off season before the 2007 season, there was that whole saga with Tiki Barber before he retired. I don't know exactly how the players, what they'll be able to say with that kind of thing, but what was the surrounding noise with that, and also the player interaction like when it came?
When Tiki made the decision to retire, you mean?
Yeah, like at the time, like was there any signs with him like at the end of his career when you got there?
Oh no, Tiki could have played another 2-3 years from what I saw. He rushed for 1,800 yards his last season. 1,800 yards his last season. His year 10, 1,800. You don't get that. So when he told me that, he told us at the beginning of the season in the running back room he was going to be done. He told us that then. And as the season, was going, I'm actually getting nervous and more nervous and nervous because now it's my turn to step up. But I'm like, Tiki, you sure you want to leave? Like, you just rushed for 1,800 yards, bro. Like, what are you leaving for? Like, that's definitely leaving on top, but I still think you got a few years in. And he said he had some other things planned and he had some other things he wanted to do. So he's definitely retiring. So, and that's what came of it, man. We never talked about it again. We wished him well, loved him to death, and we just took it over and went with it.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Giants two-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. Brandon, obviously you played in the NFC East for such a long time. As we know, you hate the Cowboys, you probably hate Washington, and you more than likely hate the Philadelphia Eagles. In order, who do you hate the most and why?
Well, I hate the Dallas Cowboys the most. Like the most, almost to the point to where empty building, right? Nobody in the building. I kind of drop an airstrike down on it and kind of sit there and let's see what all that money Jerry got down there and how fast he can build another facility and stadium. I hate the Cowboys. I absolutely I hate them. I do because and it's not even the Cowboys and the quote unquote success that they had to make me hate them because they don't have any of that shit. But they're fans. The fans of the Cowboys, that's the people who make me really hate them. You know what I mean? Like they always, I don't know, they always like, how about them boys and this, that. Like Every year you're going to be great. Every year you're going to win it. Every year you're going to do this. Every year you're going to do, and you're going to do that. And they seem to not respect any other franchise in the NFL. And that's just, to me, that's just piss poor fandom. Like you don't like the game. You like some mirage star that's never going to be there in the end. So Cowboys, and Washington and Philly could kind of fit in there together. I don't really hate them as much as I hate the Cowboys because, to be honest with you, like Washington never really posed a threat to us, and Philly did at some points. But those were great football games, and I love Philadelphia fans. They're crazy. They don't have it all. They're not wrapped tight, whatever you want to call it. Like they loose cannons, and I think I like that.
The loose cannons, all right. They're throwing things on the field. So.
Or eating crap after they win a Super Bowl.
Throw it back. It's perfectly fine. Well, not with the league, it will find you, but pick it up, throw it back. They tell you something disrespectful, you turn and tell them something disrespectful. I used to like playing in Philly because you never know what what it was you were gonna get.
Well, after you won the Super Bowl, would you go out in the street and try to pick up horse crap and try to eat it?
Nice and clean, put his ring that on oh no. Absolutely. But them boys crazy, man. That's just what it is over there in Philly, though. Like, you know what you're going to get.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the Cowboys fans. Isn't it great how they always have the mantra of, this is our year all the time?
This is it.
Every year.
Yeah. I mean, they do have my favorite player over there, Michael Parsons, though. That boy's a beast. I wish the Giants could have drafted him.
Yeah.
Last year, but again, there was some other funny trade stuff that went down that kept them from doing that.
So speaking of linebackers, when you played, whether it was in the NFC East or across the league, is there one defensive player when you broke a tackle of his or juked him or whatever that you were like, oh yeah, I got the best out of him? Because there are a lot of good ones in the NFC East, but anyone across the league. If there's anyone like when you ran him over, who was it?
Well, breaking Ed Reed's tackle is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, outside the NFC East, I would have to say Ed. I gotta say Ed Reed, like breaking a tackle of his, that was pretty good for me. But the greatest competitor I've ever competed against, was Brian Dawkins.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. I didn't say he was the best player. I said he was the greatest competitor. That's a big difference. He's going to be there in the end. He's going to emotionally lead his team there. He's going to physically put his body on the line for his team, and he's going to be there. Like in the end, did they have better safeties than Dawk? Probably so, but they didn't have no better safeties than Dawkins playing the run. They might have been able to cover a little bit better than Dawk, but as far as coming down and playing the run, the boy was there. It was the greatest competitor I faced. Easy.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Giants two-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. When you won your first Super Bowl in 2007, and really the way you did it, and I remember, if I haven't mistaken, if you remember it as much as I do, that was the year that you played the Jets in 2007. It was at I think it was Christmas Eve. It was, and
I think that was the second.
Oh, it was the second one. I'm sorry, the 2011.
Yeah, that was. That was the Super Bowl.
So I'm sorry. So 2011, I was at that game, and the Jets were playing pretty good football, and I remember that Victor Cruz touchdown that really changed the game, really changed the emotion of the game. And then all of a sudden, after that game, the Giants started playing good football. They got into, I think they played the Patriots the final game, and then you guys got into the playoffs and completely dominated from one game to the next game to the next game. What were your thoughts that year when you beat the Jets? At Christmas Eve, was that the game that really changed everything for you guys?
Maybe so. Yeah, because we had so much surrounding that game. You know, we had the Takeover New York. We had that, and then we had they're taking all our accomplishments down off the wall because it was actually their home game. But they didn't know their lease was up that game, so they had to pay the lease, and I don't think they made the payment, so we kicked them out of the stadium. But they tried to cover up our Super Bowls, and it was actually our locker room on our side. It had nothing to do with them even seeing the trophies and the Super Bowl stuff up there. Nothing to do with them. They were just being assholes and trying to really abuse their authority because it was their home game. But we politely took their little curtain down and politely laid it on the ground and went out there and kicked their ass.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you. I'm a Jet fan, so you make me feel so much more happier having you on the show. I love you.
You guys won the AFC Championship game like the year before that, so that gave you a little.
Listen, Brendan, I would agree with you because I remember that game. I was at that game, and I remember what the Jets were bragging about. And if you're gonna, and I've said this to Rex Ryan, I've talked to Rex Ryan about that game, and I said if you're gonna do the things that you did before the game, you either put up or shut up. And the Giants pretty much laid the smack down on you, and he admitted it. He said it. He's especially in the second half, he was outcoached by Tom Coughlin. And that's why Tom Coughlin, in his words, is one of the greatest coaches of all time, because the guy, Rex Ryan, one of the best defensive minds of all time. People say it to this day, but Tom Coughlin always had the best of Rex, always. And he said it. Tom Coughlin was just that much smarter than he was.
Tom Coughlin will have you prepared to fight a war. Tom, if the NFL was fought with guns and hand grenades, the Giants would be undefeated. And that man will have you ready, and he always has some highly ranked military guy come talk to us every week. Every other week, you have a guy in there that has been on the front line or something in the military to tell us about their story and how football compares to fighting and supporting one another. And it was just great that he always had those kind of people around. Like, the guy had us prepared to play football. I can't lie about that. Great. He had us super prepared, and he made sure we knew everything about our opponent.
So I know last time we had you on the show, you were talking about the running back, the stories with that. How about a teammate that's maybe more under the radar too? Any good stories with any of those teammates on either one of the championship teams?
Under the radar?
Yeah, maybe a player that was lesser known to fans.
That was a big deal to the team. Dion Grant.
Okay.
Wow.
Dion Grant was in the second Super Bowl. He was a tremendous leader on the defense, tremendous leader for our team. He was in the league. He was going on to year 11 at that point. He was on year 11 at that point. So I think Dion Grant is really one of the guys that really helped us win just the Super Bowl. He played in Seattle. I think he went to the Seattle. I think he went to the Super Bowl with Seattle. I'm not sure if they won or not.
They lost to the Steelers, yeah.
Yeah, so he hadn't won one yet, but coming on with us and being a leader, I think he's one of the guys on there that I like to give credit to on one of the most on one of the reasons why we actually pulled it out defensively. He was there for us.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Giants two-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. Brandon, one of the fans asked me to ask you this question: how many fights did his team get into when he played for Coffeyville, and does he still hate Garden City?
I can't stand Garden City, and we used to get in a fight all the time. Like, what a lot of people don't understand about junior college football is junior college in general. A lot of times when I went to junior, it was a lot of at-risk kids. You got at-risk kids going to one school and competing for a spot, 12 out-of-state spots on a team of 55, right? So you get all these kids coming from these different hoods that just wasn't eligible to go to Division I, or was just bad as hell. Like, that's really what it was. I can't stand Garden City, and when you played, it's the same thing. You got a bunch of at-risk kids that's out there playing against each other, and big fight break out every week. But I can't stand Garden City. Their mascot was the Bronco Busters. What the hell is a Bronco Buster? You know?
So we've seen a lot now with Eli Manning more off the field than we did with the Manning cast this year on the Monday Night Football. Have you heard any of that? And if so, like, what does that show about his personality? And do you have anything about his personality that maybe a lot of fans wouldn't know?
Man, that I'm glad they ended up giving him that show, and I'm glad Eli ended up accepting it because people could really see his real personality. Like that's Eli's personality. That's it. He's a jokester. He's gonna prank you. He's gonna do stuff like that. He's just not this real loud and obnoxious guy. It's just not him. Like that was me. So that it just wasn't him. So I'm actually glad they had the opportunity to do that show so people could really see his real personality. What we saw in the locker room every day.
Brandon, your son in 2025 he took the offer from K-State. Obviously, he's trying to be what his father was, a successful college football player, and then obviously an NFL player. Tell us a little bit about your son. What type of player is he?
Well, Braden is a big old young man, should I say. He's 6'6", about 310, 312, something like that. He's 15 years old, plays right tackle. He's really good at it. He's one of the top tackles in the country. Just supporting him, man. Like whatever it is he want to do. He has 18 Division I offers right now. So I mean, he has the sky's the limit for him. He's a great kid. Like to be the way he is, like if you meet him, you would never think that he's that guy. You would never think that he's got them mauling people. He just would never think. So he's a big, nice kid, man. And I love him to death. The kid's gonna be special. It's gonna be really special. So I'm just here to support him on whatever it is he does and wherever he wants to go to school. I just want it to be somewhere decent where the coaches are great and the coaches are gonna be there. And that's it. That's the only thing.
You should show him some tape of your teammate Kareem McKenzie. That'll help him out.
Big peach.
Just remember who Kareem McKenzie was drafted by, okay?
We succeeded.
What was that, Brad?
Jets.
What happened?
So wasn't Kareem drafted by the Jets?
That's right, he was.
I want to remember where he succeeded.
Wow. So he just walked from I guess it was Long Island at that point, or what the Jets was like practice at then.
Well, it was New Jersey because they played in the same stadium as you.
No, I know that, but I'm saying at that time the Jets didn't have the facility in Florham Park. Then,
yes, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. You're right. It was in Long Island. Yep.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so he just came on right from over there and became an instant winner. Look at that.
There you go.
All right, Brandon, stop it. Stop it. Stop slicing it, Dyson.
Winner.
My New York Jets. I'm tired of this. We get Giants on this show all the time, and they like just slipping it in. They know I'm a Jet fan. Everybody knows I'm a Jet fan. So every single Giant we've had on this show, every one of them, they like to crack jokes. They like, you know what? I'm going to throw you a curveball, Mr. Marks. And why not? Brandon Jacobs throwing another one. Oh, he lived in Long Island.
So let me ask you a question. So
go ahead, Ibby.
So what was it like growing up, like in the Jets, and never ever having an opportunity to cheer for them at the height of life?
Everybody asks me that question, and what made you want to be a Jet fan? And it's so funny that people ask me that. I was 6 years old, and I watched my first football game. I actually knew what football was. I was watching my first football game, and it was a Jet game, and I remember it very, very closely. I'm pretty sure they were playing the Houston Texans, I think it was. Or Houston Oilers. I'm sorry. It was the Houston Oilers.
When you were a kid.
It was the Houston Oilers. And I remember that game, and the Jets won that game. And for some reason, I love the green and white. And all my friends growing up were all Giant fans. And for some reason, I just liked the underdog. It was always the Jets were the underdog every single year because they never won. And I just wanted to root for the underdog. And they've been the underdog ever since then. So people ask me, what was it like being a Jet fan when I never got to experience them even playing in a Super Bowl? It's not easy. It's not easy being a Jet fan, as anybody knows. But there is one thing. A Jet fan is a dedicated fan. They have always stuck by their teams. Nobody's going to turn on their team. They believe in their team. They're not Cowboy fans where they think every year is our year. We're just hoping one year will be our year. So it hasn't come, and hopefully one of these years we'll have the experience and the time to see the Jets make it to the Super Bowl and actually have a chance to win one.
How old are you?
I am 40 years old, my friend.
Okay, so we're the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. Well, you ain't got much longer left.
Well, stop throwing that under the bus, man. I mean, we're not there. First of all, Brandon, football players end their careers very, very early. Athletes, and you're a young man. You are a young man playing in a young man's game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in great shape. Anybody that sees you, even on this foot, we see a bunch of people say, wow, Brandon Jacobs is in great shape. Same thing with me. Age is just a number, not in sports, but age is just a number.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you take the next step in your life is what could change the path for everyone around you. And I think me being 40 years old, I feel better than I did when I was 30. So yes, I'm 40 years old. I think I have a lot of years left. I think you have a lot of years left. I just think that as a Jet fan, you just wonder when that time is going to come. And hopefully with Joe Douglas there and with this coaching staff, with Robert Saleh and the guys that they have over there, one of these years, we're going to see an opportunity where the Jets are going to be a contender for a Super Bowl championship. And I hope it's now. I know you're not a Jet fan,
No,
obviously.
I'm not.
But,
A Jet. I do think they got the nicest uniforms in the NFL, though.
Do you really? You like the Jets uniforms?
Uniforms. However, being a Jet fan is like being on hospice. It's like the next thing you're gonna do is die. That's the next. Oh man, hey, we'll see. That I mean, I don't have anything. You know, they had a pretty good draft. They do.
You're funny, man.
I want to see what they do this year. I don't think we play you this year.
No, next year.
No, next year.
It'll be next year.
Giants play the AFC South this year.
Yeah, it'll be next year. It'll be fun. And you know what, Brandon? I'll tell you what, Brandon. Next year, if the Jets and the Giants are compared to be good, I will take you and your son Braden on me to the Jets-Giants game. How's that sound?
That's definitely a deal.
Let's do it. I think it'll be fun. I think going with you and your son, your son's probably twice the size of, 3 times the size of me, but it'll be on me.
He's bigger than me.
He's bigger than you, but that's saying a lot. We should interview your son. We've interviewed some of the top prospects in the country. That would be great. Maybe we'll get your son on the show.
Yeah, whenever you guys, should want to do it, man. He's right here always. If I'm here, he's here.
All right. So maybe Speedy will reach out to you. We'll get your son on the show. But that's the deal. If the Jets and Giants are compared to be contenders next year, playoff contending teams, on me, you, Braden, and maybe Speedy, on me to that game, to the Jets and Giants game. How's that sound?
I'm with it.
All right. You heard it, Speedy.
Yeah. My brother actually had your jersey when he was a kid. I don't know if it'll still fit him anymore, but I'll have to see if I can still find that in my house if that ends up being the case.
I don't think anybody could fit in his jersey. 6'4", brolic, 240 pounds of a bull rush.
Oh yeah, I didn't say it was game war. We didn't have that level of money to be able to get that. But you did have your jersey at the time. This is when 2008. I think we got it all as Christmas gifts. I got Eli Manning's. He got Brandon Jacobs.
Best team. 2018 was the best team, man. We were so much better than any other team we ever had. It was crazy. We were supposed to go back to back, but we just didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that year was they were 12. You guys were 12-4 that year, or 13-3. Yeah,
we ended up going 12-4, but we had our mishap at 11-1, so we only won one game after Plexico had his accident and kind of stopped us. The man had so much to do with our success; it wasn't even funny. We didn't even realize how much he had to do with the success of our offense. It was crazy. It was crazy how much he meant to our offense. And you're either gonna double him, and we're going to run down your throat, or you're going to play man out there, and he's going to destroy you.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. The Pittsburgh Steelers to this day probably wishes they never let go of Plaxico Burress, because he could have been that piece that could have helped them win multiple Super Bowls, because I think Plaxico Burress was so underrated in the prime of his career.
And Plex was an unbelievable talent. 6'5", 230, out there running routes. Looked like a gazelle out there. Just phenomenal talent, man.
It's funny to think they at one point had Plaxico Burress and Hines Ward on the same team, two big-bodied receivers. It seems like since then they always draft small receivers.
Right. So he was tough to deal with, man. Like for any corner in the league at that point, who during that era, which you would say Ashanti Samuel was a good corner, really good corner. Darrell Reeves, Al Harris, Rod Woodson. I mean, not Rob, Charles Woodson.
Woodson, yep.
Who else was it?
Namdi Asamoah, Champ Bailey. There were a couple. Yeah.
And so Namdi was one of the guys on the dream team for the Eagles.
Yes.
Guys over there. So I mean, we had some good corners, but man, I just they all struggle with PB. They all struggle with him. Like they could tell you right now, like, man, I hated playing the Giants. We got a guy 6'5" running like that. It's hard. He going up and getting it over you. He can outrun you. Everything. Flax was an unbelievable talent. And to me, he's always going to be over. He's going to always be underrated. Because my guy number one. And yeah, he was great. But when he went down from that little accident, we were screwed. I was convinced that nobody was going to beat us throughout the playoffs if we'd had him.
It was funny. You mentioned the 2011 Eagles. One of my best friends growing up was an Eagles fan. So once they, I guess, struggled in that season and they underwhelmed to the worst of their abilities and finished like 7-9 or whatever they did that year, I called them the Dream On team from them, and I kept trolling him all year because of that.
Oh man, I think that's the year we won it.
You guys won, yeah, for Super Bowl 46. That was that year. And so that's why I made that regular season just more memorable, even though obviously the Super Bowl 42 upset was probably bigger just with the magnitude. Like that regular season, the journey to get there, the block field goal against Dallas, there was like so many things that year. It was like, yep. And he was at the end of the year, because they were surging because they started off slow. He was like, nope, they're going to come back. The Giants are going to lose to the Jets and all that. And once the Giants beat the Jets and sealed it at that point.
Stop bragging about that.
I'm bragging about it from the Eagles standpoint, not the Jets. I just brought it up because it was week 16.
I mean, I think the Jets finally beat the Eagles like last year or the year before that. So, I mean, the Jets had a problem beating the Eagles. For some reason, the AFC East hasn't been easy for the New York Jets. I mean, the NFC East hasn't been good for the New York Jets. So that's just my theory over there.
I think throughout last year, like other than the years I played, I think last year was the first year in the NFL where it was really competitive. I think NFL was really competitive last year. You didn't have one team dominating. I think the LA Rams played every top team in the league last year. They won some, lost some. Every time you look on primetime, it was the Rams playing somebody. Every other week, and they will win some and they will lose some. Nobody just dominated the NFL last year. The NFL should be like that, where if like 4 wins should be about it. 4 to 5 win. I mean 4 to 5 losses. Each team should have at least 5 losses throughout every year. It should be like that. And I think last year ended up being like that. I want to see another competitive year like last year.
Yeah, the NFC West last year was like the NFC East when you played. Just so much good teams in that.
San Francisco, they just beat up on each other. I think Arizona went to a point where they was the number 1 team like in the league. And
they're the last undefeated team.
Yeah, and they got into division play, got busted up by the Rams, and San Francisco went down to Arizona, and the Rams beat them, and then San Francisco went beat the Rams. I'm like, boy, this is some good football.
They swept the Rams in the regular season, and then they
right. They swept them. They swept them in the regular season, and then you never knew, what you was going to get out of Seattle. Seattle can show up and be the best team in the league, and
Seattle swept the Niners, and then the Niners swept the Rams.
It was really competitive on the West Coast last year. So man, I'm really looking forward to see, what this 2022 season has for us. I'm really looking forward to it.
One more question for us before we let you go, because we really appreciate you joining us as long as you have. Who was the biggest talker on the field that you remember when you played the game?
Biggest talker on the field. Ooh, that's a good one. I would say me. I'm always say somebody in the NFC East because that's what I saw the most. Dawkins, that boy Dawkins was. Man, Dawkins will tell you everything, but he will never cuss. He will never curse. He will never do any of that. It wouldn't be real. He always on you, always in your face, always has something to say. So he was probably the biggest trash talker. He's probably the trash talker we had in our division anyway.
We had Taba Ali on, and I forget who he said, because I asked him the same question. And Taba and me became really, really good friends, and we talk. He's in New Jersey right now. Shout out to Taba Ali.
He's in Jersey, and Tom was from like Teaneck or something like that.
Yeah, he's in New Jersey right now. He told me he hurt something. His leg started, his knee started giving out on him recently. We follow each other on Snapchat, and he told me because we were going to meet up. And he told me he hasn't been feeling very well. He wanted me to come and see him when he came out here. He's been out here for a month, and he's going back to KC. But Taba actually is rapping and doing all the stuff right now and producing. He's doing a great job. He's a hardworking, dedicated person in the industry. And I one of these days, somebody's going to give him an opportunity to really shine as well as he did in football. But he was telling me that,
I think he said Walter Jones. I think
was it Walter Jones?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, Taba was telling us a little bit about his career and some of the guys, and we did mention you, and he told me that boy can hit, and Taba is like I said, very well respected around the league, and very smart and dedicated person to what he is doing off the field, and very dedicated in trying to help the sport grow. So. Shout out to Taba.
Guy, man, he's a good guy. I played against him a couple times, and we used to have this play called 136 and 137 knockdown, where I would go to the edge on 3-step drop, and the line would slide away from the end, and it'd be me and the end like one-on-one. So we had, we definitely collided a few times, but man, phenomenal talent. I'm talking about giving tackles hell. Fast off the edge, strong, like he was. I think he's probably one of the most underrated players of my era as well. Yeah, I think they definitely underrated. There's no question.
Would have got to 100 sacks if he didn't have those injuries towards the end of his career. He had 89.
Beast, right? He was a beast. He was a beast. Like we had to plan for him.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us. Speedy's going to reach out to you. We're going to get your son on. We love interviewing some top young prospects. We've interviewed what was it, 2 years ago? We interviewed the top 50 prospects that are now going into their second year of college football, and they're growing, and they're the next big superstars. Probably, I would say about 7 or 8 of them are going to be top 20, top 30 picks in the next 2 years. So we really enjoy interviewing some of the young prospects that are going into college and eventually going into college and becoming the stars, either from their fathers. We've interviewed some guys that their fathers played in the league, and some of the guys that eventually moved on to the NFL and became pretty good players. So we really enjoyed the interview, Brandon, and we definitely want to get you on. And I'm going to hold up to my promise with you that if the Giants and the Jets are playoff contenders next year, me, you, your son, and Speedy on me to the game. So I have no problems doing that.
Sounds like a plan to me.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we were just talking to Giants 2-time Super Bowl champion running back Brandon Jacobs. Fantastic guy. He's not a Jet fan, okay? He hates the Jets and he hates the Cowboys. That so much is true, but we love him. This is not the first or the second time he's been on the show, and first time we got him on a video chat.
Yeah.
But fantastic personality. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's really sweet coming from a Jet fan.
Well, you're welcome, sir.
He's got to take the last shots.
Just remember, I think I'm older than you, Brandon.
You are
by 2 months. I just researched it. He was born July 6th, 82. You're April 29th, 82.
What were you gonna say, Brandon?
No, I'm just saying I just turned 40 on the 6th, so you're definitely older than me.
I was born. My birthday was April, so I am your elder, man. So you have to be a little bit more nicer to me.
I'll try just to be.
I'll tell you what. I'll buy you a Jets jersey since you love him so much with your name on the back of it.
See, Brandon, when he buys you the Jets jersey, you could come to the game and either burn it or rip it up, whichever you prefer.
But I want the Jets jersey that's going to have this symbol on it. Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to Photoshop
I'll
that.
I'll tell you what. Speedy, you got jokes? You got
Oh man.
Well, I'll tell you what. When they do win that Super Bowl, whenever that happens, I'll be sure to send you one.
I want it.
And I'll sign it for you.
No, actually, I want that jersey, and then I want Ryan on the back of it for Coach Rex Ryan.
Oh God, please.
He'll probably get a tattoo of something.
Please. I mean, as much as I love Coach Ryan and I have a lot of respect for him, I have no idea for some reason he liked to sprout his big mouth and it caused us tremendous amount of trouble, not only in the newspapers, but throughout the league, which called us a clown organization. You don't see Saleh doing that. And that's why I respect Robert Saleh more than anything.
Well, he gave bulletin board material that teams took personal. Guys took it personal when kind of like Michael Jordan always said, which is personal to me. So kind of what he would do, like, man, that's really personal. He really feel like that. Wow. Yeah. So I like Coach Ryan. He's a good dude. We had our little run in, but talked to him after that. He told me he told me thank me. I said, well, what are you thanking me for? I was with San Fran that 1 year we went to Cam down to play the Jets. And he was like, thank you. Like, what are you thanking me for? Because of you, I lost weight. I'm like, oh, all right, I got you.
By the way, one of our fans in the comments section also says, I've got the first $1,000 of NIL money if your son Braden goes to Boston College.
Goes to Boston College. Huh? So we got that deal already then. So we got some NIL money.
$1,000. He needs more than that, man. Come on. We need more than that. Maybe 100,000. Jeff's got to give him 100,000. That sounds a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: he's smart enough to get in. That's all I care about. He's smart enough to get into Boston College.
Well, I could tell you this. Thank God the players are starting to make some money. They should have been doing that a long time ago. And I think it's wrong the way the NCAA, when you're using these guys' names and these guys are top prospects and they're only playing a few years, they're not even finishing their college degree, and they're helping your team get a play in those bowl games where you're making extra $10 or $12 million. That's helping and opening opportunities for you to open up new libraries and new things that for your school. These players should have been making money a long, long time ago. So,
well, they still aren't paid by the university, so they still keep all of their money coming from the local businesses in those towns where the schools are. Now of course it's worked by the schools, but the schools aren't giving any of these kids. They aren't giving any money to the kids. It's not. So you have a local business in the area. Right. That's going to pay a kid $500,000 or whatever it is. That's how it goes, man. So the school's still getting off pretty good.
Good. Braden will be taking care of you soon, Mr. Jacobs.
Hey, man. Well, I'm still good for a good bit. I still should be good. I should make it to retirement.
You're not retired yet? What are you doing over there?
No, man, I should make it to where I get my retirement.
I got you. Well, it doesn't hurt having a 6'6", almost 300-pound youngster who's 15 years old and looking to really spark his name up for not only for what his father has done, but for what he could do in the future. So we really appreciate you joining us, and we'll get Braden on the show as well, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Brandon Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get into this Juan Soto situation because it seems like a lot of people think it's the Yankees and the Mets. First of all, he's not getting traded to the Mets. I cannot see the Nationals at any kind of way trading one of the best players in the league to the Mets. The Yankees either. The Yankees aren't going to pay Aaron Judge. Why would they pay Juan Soto? Okay, it doesn't make any sense. But when we come back, what are the Nationals going to do? I mean, honestly, he obviously waived a 15-year, $440 million contract. It means he doesn't want to be there. So do the Nationals trade him or call his bluff? He's still there for another 2 years. Call his bluff and make him weigh out that contract like they, other teams have done over the years with other players. When we come back, we'll get into this whole Juan Soto situation. It seems like it is the biggest story in baseball. When we come back here on the Sports Lamas.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
Ha, so it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
(631) 672-3108 is the number. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Brandon Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Fantastic interview. A person that I've grown to respect, even though he hates the Jets. As we were talking about maybe buying him a jersey, he said the Jets have the nicest jerseys in the league.
But he needs one with a Super Bowl patch.
All right. So if the Jets win the Super Bowl, I'll be sure to get him one, and I'll sign it for him. So just to say, there's your Super Bowl patch, buddy. But I really appreciate him giving us the time. I know he's a busy guy. As you heard, his son, who's 6'6", I think he said 280.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was. Fantastic talent. One of the best tackles in all of the country. So he's, obviously expecting his son to go to a top Division I school. I thought it was K-State that he.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, so he's heading to K-State, but he could change his mind before that. So it's 2025. It's still a little bit of time. I would say 3 more years before he has the opportunity to step on a college field and play college football. But 15 years old, 6'6", 280 pounds. Wow. Mm. It's a massive man. That guy's going to be a pretty big kid.
He's coming for Evan Neal's size.
It's crazy, man. These kids are huge. I mean, Brandon's 6'4", 240 when he played.
Yeah.
I mean, now he's probably a little bit heavier because he's a little bit older. But he
was 6'4", 262 when he played. So we'll see, probably a little more now. But
he's in great shape.
He's in great shape.
Yeah. He really is. He's built like an ox, man. That guy is an amazing specimen. He really is. So congratulations to Brandon Jacobs and his family, and hope everything goes as well as it's gone for his career as an NFL player. And his son, maybe could be a Super Bowl champion eventually. Maybe the Giants draft him, a couple of years from now, 5-6 years down the road. So it's going to be an interesting story as he moves forward as an athlete and as a top prospect going into college, probably a 5-star recruit. Mm-hmm. Juan Soto. First of all, his agent is one of the more hated agents in professional sports. Okay. And you know who I'm talking about, Speedy. And you think when you talk about Juan Soto, and he won the home run derby yesterday. Yes, he's a fantastic talent. Nobody can take away how special Juan Soto is. He is a special talent. 23 years old. I mean, he's everything you want in an athlete. He's everything you want in a baseball player. 5-tool player, defensively, offensively, can steal bases, hit for power, hit for average. He's everything. He's a World Series champion. He was the reason why they won the World Series. So it's just an amazing story for a young guy. But being offered 15 years, $440 million would make you the richest player in all of baseball. Now, not contract-wise.
No, per year it's only 15.
Yeah, it's not contract-wise, but making $440 million. I understand that 15 years is too long, and it's pretty much your last contract. And I could see Juan not taking. He's probably asking for an 8 or 9-year deal, which would put him to 31, 32, where he can get another contract that'll probably pay him more. And he doesn't want to sign a 15-year deal because that straps him, and he's never going to make more money. And he wants to get that next boost when he becomes available when he's 31 or 32, if he's a top player. But man, oh man, turning down a $440 million contract when you don't even know if you're going to stay healthy, you don't know if your knee's going to snap, you don't know if your elbow is going to snap. Ask the Dark Knight. Ask him when he had the opportunity to sign $130 million contract from the Mets, why he should have taken that contract. There are many different players in history that totally bet on themselves and failed. Now, Aaron Judge bet on himself, and he is going to make himself a lot of money this offseason. Obviously, he's tied Roger Maris's home run record at the All-Star break. He could break Roger Maris's record. Yes, Roger Maris's record, because a lot of people aren't giving Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or Sammy Sosa any credit for what they did because they did steroids. But this contract, I know, you know what I would have went? I would have went to the Nationals and said, listen, I'll take a 10-year deal worth $400 million.
Right.
I'll give you 10 years, 10 good years. I'll be 33, and then we'll talk about an extension after that. But I'll tell you this right now. If he does get traded, a team's going to have to trade away at least 2 or 3 players ready to play now in the majors. One star that is in the majors. Like, here's the thing. Rodriguez, you saw what he did last year in the home run derby. Yesterday in the home run derby.
Yes.
He is a great player. He's a top prospect. If you were to trade for a guy like Soto, you're going to have to add him, including, he's just one of maybe 2 other pieces and, young players right now in your farm system that you would have to land to get Soto.
Yeah, if Seattle's any shot, it starts with him and Logan Gilbert, who's a Cy Young candidate this year. That's going to be the starting price. You need a lot more than that.
And Jeff is saying Uncle Stevie will break the bank. He is still under contract for another 2 years after this year. There is no way the Nationals are trading him to the Mets. There's no way. There's not a chance in hell that the Mets are going to get him. All right? The Nationals are not going to get... Why would the Nationals do that when they're going to have to see Juan Soto for the next, I don't know, 10 years, and you're going to have to see him about 15, 16 times every single year? Why would he do that? Why would the organization, why would the GM do that? Even if the Nationals are stupid, and they're a stupid organization, as stupid as they've been over the years and some of the moves that they've made, they're not stupid enough to give him to the Mets. So count the Mets out of this. I don't know why anybody thinks the Mets are going to get him. And if the Mets do get him, they're going to have to practically give away everything to get him.
Yeah, I actually saw something on SNY Twitter today that I think the Nationals' initial asking price from the Mets was Jeff McNeil, Tyler McGill, Francisco Alvarez, the number 2 prospect in baseball, Brett Beatty, their next biggest prospect, and then 2 out of 3 of Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, and Mark Vientos. So their next 3 best prospects after that. So that's a lot to be able to get for Juan Soto. Not to mention, you were going to have to sign him to this massive deal. And I think the reason why he didn't take the 15-year deal is because he could bank on the fact that, 1, he's been durable throughout his career. 2, like you were saying, a 5-tool player. And 3, you're kind of seeing now teams want to stretch it out where they want to pay the players to get team control early, and then the players are not going to be able to get that same level of control. We were talking about it last year with Tatis, too, when he signed his 13-year deal. His average annual value is actually only about $27 million, which is lower compared to the other big contracts that were just signed. So I think Soto's trying to avoid that kind of thing and maybe get paid more, obviously above the pay grade overall, but more like what Lindor got paid, Machado, guys like that, Bryce Harper, and get the 10-year deal.
And Jeff says, what dumb move has Washington made? Please tell me. I don't know. Here's one of them. They traded Max Scherzer and Trey Turner for prospects that are probably not going to be in the major leagues.
Hey, don't slander my man.
Okay,
Gray.
they gave arguably one of the best shortstops and one of the best pitchers in baseball for nothing. Okay, that's a stupid move. Okay, so Jeff, you make it seem like we don't know what we're talking about, and you know more than us.
Don't slander my man, Josiah Gray.
Okay, I can name a bunch of moves that they've made. How about this? Giving Steven Strasburg the extension they gave him, and the man can't stay healthy. How's that?
And Ryan Zimmerman before that.
How about that? That's not a stupid move. How about that? Please. Why? Because the Nationals won a World Series?
Yeah, they won a World Series by doing a lot of the opposite things you see World Series teams do. They made it work. They were a great underdog, probably the greatest underdogs.
Don't put them through until I'm done with this.
Yeah, but yeah, to say that it was all based on team development is not the case.
The Nationals have made a tremendous amount of dumb moves.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're not a smart organization. And don't sit here and say that they have been. All right? And I cannot see that organization, as stupid as they are, to trade away arguably one of the top 3 players in the league to a divisional team where you're going to have to see them 16 games every single year, morning, noon, and night for the next 10 years. It's not going to happen. Put him through.
All right. Jeff, you're on.
Look, you might have a point with Trey Turner, but they were losing Scherzer anyway, so they traded him for what they could get. Like, that just is what it is. And they've made other smart moves. Letting Anthony Rendon walk, terrific move. Terrific move. Anthony Rendon might as well be the Beeve. He's a broken down bucket of bones at this point.
Well, he's always injury prone, so everyone could have seen that coming.
Right. It's not like they're the Browns that just, make terrible moves over and over and over again, right? They're not one of these franchises that's done that. They have a budget. They've stuck to it. They had a number in mind for some of these guys. And when they go, no, we want more, they go, fine, well, we're not signing you. And it's worked out for them. And the one guy that they paid in Strasburg, they paid and then won a World Series. Everyone on the planet would consider that a good move by paying a guy where it pays off when you win a World Series.
I think they paid him after they won the World Series.
They did. The decision was him or Rendon at the time.
After they won the World Series.
And they chose Strasburg, which I thought was the right move at the time. But again, either way, they're both hurt right now. So
the guy can't stay healthy.
And neither can Rendon. It's the same problem.
I mean, I like Steven.
Rendon's been worse. At least Strasburg somewhat played. Rendon's been way worse. How many games has he played now in 2 years?
I think a combined 60 or something.
If you look at Steven Strasburg's record since the World Series, it's not good. Okay, and to give him the money that he got, and he's a fantastic player.
Still a better move than keeping Rendon. If the choice is Strasburg or Rendon, who's been better? Strasburg.
And you make a little bit. And you make fun of the whole Patrick Corbin thing. What has Patrick Corbin done? What's he done?
He's been a streaky pitcher all the time.
Yeah, you know what his record is right now? 4-12.
Oh, yeah,
okay, 5.87 ERA, and he's making how much money? I'm sorry, almost $30 million a year.
Had a bad year last year too.
Okay, so to sit here and say that this is a smart organization, they're not, and they're not trading him.
Sometimes they can, people will just pay a guy just to move him and get assets.
And I'm the first person.
With the Rangers.
I'm the first person to apologize to think that Patrick Corbin was that good of a pitcher, because if you look at what he's done in the last 2 years, he's horrible. Okay,
That's right. Famed New Yorker. Oh, he ate at a restaurant one time. He's coming to New York, Patrick Corbin. That same Patrick Corbin.
Yeah, you're not saying that about Mitchell, and he's on his way to the Knicks.
He's not there yet.
No, but he will be. He will be.
Yeah, he might be. But you know what's funny? This is what you've always done. We talked about this. And I have the text messages too. You've played both sides of this. You said, "Oh, he's coming to New York." And the next minute you were like,
because
he's
Danny
not
Ainge,
coming.
no, I didn't say I was sad. I said I believe now he's not going because they traded Rudy Gobert, and that Danny Ainge said multiple times he's not trading him. And you know what he probably said? You know what Mitchell said? Donovan Mitchell probably told him, "I don't want to be here. You better trade me, or I'm not playing."
He probably did, but you've played both sides of it now. So
and you've played both sides of many arguments, okay?
No,
so please.
I'm on the side that he's not going there. I've never switched sides. You've switched sides in this.
Not going where?
Twice.
To the Knicks?
Yeah. You originally, he's definitely going, so I'm at a restaurant. And then The next week it was, oh, he's not going. They've traded Gobert, this thing. And then next week you were like, the parade's back on. We're getting Donovan Mitchell.
There was no parades, first of all I said, again, I'm going to go
There's
back.
reservations for
As soon
dinner
as
with
he
Emmanuel.
became available, Speedy, as soon as he became available after Denny Ainge says he's taking calls, who did everybody say he was going to? The Knicks. Okay? So please, Jeff, don't sit here and say the things. The only reason why it's still sitting right now and it's waiting is because they want as many first-round draft picks as they can get from the Knicks. And the Knicks are not budging off of 5.
All of that is absolutely true. But did you flip-flop?
What do you mean flip-flop? All I said, I didn't say he was going anywhere else. I didn't say, Jeff, all I said, and again, I'm going to go back to what I said. All I said is he's not going anywhere but the Knicks. And then I said, he after Danny Ainge came out and said it, that he's going nowhere. That's the only reason why I took back. I didn't jump anything. All I said was what Danny Ainge said. And then Danny Ainge opened it up again. I said he's going to the Knicks. And I'm going to say it again. He's going to the Knicks.
He could. He very well could. He's got a lot of ties there. Isn't his dad like work for the Mets or something? Is he executive with the Mets?
He is.
He's in the front office.
He's in the front office with the Mets. He got the job after Uncle Stevie bought the team. So and he's
Uncle
been
Stevie, he's a genius. He's going to end up with Soto. But I'll tell you this: for the money that Soto wants, who else would give him that money but Uncle Stevie?
I'm telling you right now, there are about 4 other teams that'll be interested in giving him that money. 4 other teams. Texas, a lot of people believe, are the lead team to get him.
I've also heard the Padres and the Giants, too.
I heard Texas is the lead team to get him. They didn't even spend anywhere close to the money they wanted to spend in the offseason. They paid Simeon and they paid Seager the money they did. They wanted to spend at least another $50 million last year. So do I think that they're going to go after him? I absolutely believe, and they have a very good farm system, the Texas Rangers. So if they want him, they'll get him. And I think it makes a lot of sense on why he would go to the American League.
He's asking 500.
He'll get it. First of all, the Texas Ranger owner is a very rich man.
They're notoriously big spenders. Whether they're smart or not is another question, but they've always been top 10 payroll when they've gotten good.
You know, the other thing that strikes me as funny too is everyone's focusing on the $440 million. Oh, we offer him $400.
It's the 15 years.
Right, but that's the other part to it is you're basically offering him $29 million a year when top players are getting $40 million. What's Trout getting for? And he's no Trout. I'm not saying that he is.
But his average annual value is 15th in the league if he were to get that.
And don't say that he's not Trout, because this guy is won a World Series already in his career with a national team that was definitely not favorite, and he was the lead guy. He was the guy.
Yeah, but Trout's a 5-tool guy. I think Soto's like a 3-tool guy.
Really? You don't think he's
probably, but you also have to factor in the timing where he got the contract. He's durable. Also, he's a left-handed hitter, which could be valued more too. And he's probably a 3-tool player comparatively, but I would say the timing
of it. Player anyways. It's not comparatively. He can't really run. Right? That's not.
I wouldn't say he's that bad. No, he's not great. He's not. He's probably average speed, and then defense is good, not great.
That's one of the tools when you talk about a 5-tool player. Those are the fucking things.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I think that
really run.
The timing of the contract though might still get him that money though, just because of that.
Well,
and he's durable too. Trout has had his injury issues.
Well, I'm not comparing him to Trout as far as who's faster.
No, not skill wise either. No,
the rest of the league, he's slow compared to the rest of the league.
Well, his strength isn't stealing bases, but he
doesn't have so he can't run, and he doesn't really have all that great of an arm.
Here's what it is. Mike Trout hasn't been durable. This guy has been. He's a durable player.
Well, let's also be fair. Soto's 4 years younger than Trout. How old's Trout?
Trout's 28 now. Yeah.
Right. So he's 4 years older than the kid.
Right, but even so, when Trout
5 years old,
when Trout got this contract, he also was coming off a couple injury-riddled seasons. Now, most of them came later on. Actually, he's 30. He actually turned 30 recently. So most of them came after the contract, but there were a couple still before that. Soto really hasn't had any glimpse of injury issues, so that could factor in. That's you're saying, Jeff, too. That's the availability is availability. That'll help his leverage.
I totally agree. And you're right. Being a left-handed hitter may help his value for sure. But if we're being honest, he's not a 5-tool guy. He can't really run. Don't say, oh, well, it's not his strong suit, stealing bases. No.
Well, it's not valued as much anymore, so they're not going to factor that in.
Right, and he also can't throw. He doesn't have that good of an arm.
No, he's not like a raw great defensive player. He's not awful, but he's not great. Yeah.
Right. So he's really like a two-tool player. That's it. He can hit for average, he can hit for power, and that's about it.
And here's the thing. Everybody keeps bringing up the Padres, and they have some good players. They're going to have to give away one of those good players.
Oh, yeah. They're going to have to give up plenty.
I mean, they're going to have to give up the shortstop kid. I mean, they might have to. I mean, because
I don't know if it'll get that high.
Why not?
I mean, the asking price, if you're going to compare it to the Mets, I think there's going to be, because the Nationals
people
are
are putting Juan Soto as a top 4 player in the league.
Of course.
Okay.
But the Nationals are also rebuilding. So the Tatis might force his way out too, if that's the case. He's not going to go to the Nationals.
I feel like when we talk about top players in the league, people only generally refer to that as just being a hitter. That's how people refer to it, because I would argue with you, there's a bunch more players better than Juan Soto, right? You could put Mookie Betts in there. I would say Mookie Betts is more valuable. He's going to chase down far more balls and catch more balls in the outfield than Juan Soto ever could.
Well, again, Mookie Betts so far has had a better career, but Mookie Betts is a lot older. We don't know what Juan Soto already has a championship.
Betts is really young.
No, Mookie Betts is like 27, 28 years old.
29.
Yeah. Juan Soto's 23. He just turned 23. He's a kid. He already won a World Series.
I understand that, but I'm just talking about like as a complete player, a total player.
Right now, yes. Right now, he's a better player. Right now, he's a better player.
Right, but even I don't think Mookie Betts is a better like power hitter or anything like that. But defense matters too. If you're weak defensively, what does it matter if you can hit?
Well, again, I think it's also the age factor too, and also the durability factor comparatively. Betts didn't have the same level as Trout comparatively, but still, Soto still has had better durability than any other young star we've seen in a long time too. Look at all the other young players that have come up recently that have been like these flashy names. Most of them have had some level of injury.
And nobody's taking a shot at Mookie Betts. We all know how talented he is. He's won an MVP.
No, I didn't take it as you were taking a shot as Mookie Betts. I'm just saying, like, I think defense matters when you're in the calculation of who's a better player. I would make an argument Alex Bregman's a better player than Juan Soto.
I don't
know. I see he's had a couple bad years in a row.
He's not better than Juan Soto.
He's been terrific defensively, trying to hit a ball past third base.
Yeah, but he's not better than Juan Soto. Come on, man.
He bats 300 every year and hits 25 home runs.
Not recently. His numbers haven't been as good in the last couple years. The better this year, yes, but still, I would say his value defensively is definitely more, but not in terms of a contact hitter or anything else that Juan Soto has brought comparatively. This year, 238, 11 home runs, 46 RBIs. It's not bad, but it's not great. Like, I wouldn't say that.
No, right, but he also brings something to the table defensively. He's an elite defender.
Last year, 91 games. Yeah, so he was hurt for a little bit. Batted 270 with 12 home runs, 55 RBIs. I guess that's okay, but it's good. But again, I don't know if it's ever at Soto's level either.
But also with elite defense, because you're only comparing offense. Now, how much better is Alex Bregman than Juan Soto at defense?
I would say it's a good gap, but Soto also has the lowest chase rate, which is hard to factor in for a lot of these heavy strikeout young players. Now, even some of the top players have had strikeout issues coming into the league. The best young prospects that have come up too, that have already blossomed. Soto hasn't had that issue either. And I would say Soto's defense is not as bad as you make it out to be.
The guy hasn't even, Jeff, this guy hasn't even hit his prime yet. Okay.
I fully understand that, but also look at Juan Soto's build. What's to say he doesn't turn into a fat slug?
Look at Juan Soto's build. The guy is brolic. I mean, the guy's in fantastic shape.
Wait till his metabolism slows down.
All right. Well, let's not. We thought that about Albert Pujols. Did he change?
How much value is he going to have if he gets fat like Miguel Cabrera did?
Dude,
and then he's only a DH.
He is not
Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera only had those problems later in his career when he had injuries. It had nothing to do with.
And he had a thyroid problem. That's why he got heavy.
Miguel Cabrera's first DL stint of his career was in 2017. Like, he was durable for 15, 16 years up until that point.
I'm telling you, guys that big that run around. Look at Zion. Guys that big that run around. Doesn't end good for
but they don't have to do the stuff that a basketball player.
Juan Soto is 6'2".
They're going to have to move in the first base.
Juan Soto is 6'2", 215 pounds. I mean, for a 6'2" guy, that's light, dude.
If If they want him to last, they're going to have to move him to first base. No running around the outfield.
Whatever the case is, the guy is a baby, man. And is he going to get that kind of money? Yes, there are going to be teams on, and it's not to the Mets could give it to him, but the Texas Rangers could give it to him. There are quite a few teams. If the Yankees want him, they could pay him. I know the Yankees aren't going to go after him. It's either Aaron Judge or nobody. I can't see them just saying, you know, I would love to see him to go after Juan Soto. I don't think it's possible. And by the way, honestly, if you would have asked me who would I want on my team right now, I would take the guy that's been one of the faces of baseball, and that's Aaron Judge, and he is a 5-tool player. So,
but no, he definitely is. But would you not? Or I mean, for me, I would, right? But would you not give up Aaron Judge for Juan Soto?
Absolutely.
How short it is, and right
because of age. Because of age.
Age, the injury thing. Judge has not been fully healthy. He's been great this year, and he's been great for a long time, but he has gotten hurt a bit.
Mm-hmm. It's age. It's 90. Here's the only reason why. If Aaron Judge was if Aaron Judge was 26 and he was 23, and you had a chance to get one, I would not trade Aaron Judge. I wouldn't. I would not do it. But because Aaron Judge is going to be 31 going into next year, and Juan Soto just turned 23, it's a no-brainer. You go after Juan Soto.
Can you imagine how many home runs Juan Soto would hit in Yankee Stadium?
Oh, a lot.
Shitty right field fence out there.
A lot. And I think he would know that too. And he wants to go to a big marketplace. I don't think the Texas Rangers are the place that he would want to go to. But I
think he's just looking to go to wherever's going to pay him the most.
Oh, no question. But everything that we've heard, that's what his agent said. You know, his agent will probably tell you he wants the most money. But
he's got that agent, though.
Yeah.
He's got that guy. He's got Boris.
Yes. So I think Juan really wants to go to a big organization where he has a chance to shine as a superstar player. There are quite a few teams that I would love to see him play for. I don't think it's going to be any of the New York teams, but hey, listen, if the Mets can get him, I would love to see him play in New York. I would love to get an opportunity to watch Juan Soto.
Stevie would pay him.
Yeah, he would, but I just don't see the Nationals doing it. I don't care how stupid the Nationals have been over the last couple of years, and a lot of people think that their GM is an idiot. But I can't. There's a lot of people say, dude, when I watch the Baseball Network, they all laugh at him. What's his name again?
Mike Rizzo.
Mike Rizzo. They make fun of him all the time. The only reason why he still has a job because he's affordable.
Not only that, there were a couple bad moves that held certain Nationals teams back too over the years too. How many years have they had bad bullpens forever too? And that was a lot of it was him.
And we have an inside guy, trust me, Charlie Slows, who has been a voice of their organization for a very long time. He tells me all the time. The only reason why Rizzo has a job is mainly because he has a good relationship with the ownership. That's it. As far as he's an idiot.
I mean, you know, here would be my thought on this whole thing. I don't know how you'd feel about this, but if I'm the Nationals, why not trade him to the Mets? Okay, and then listen, I get that you're going to yell, "Oh, in division." I got it, in division. But there's nothing says whoever they trade him to is where he's going to sign, right? Because he might just say, well, I want to play it out till free agency and have a bidding war, okay? So if he does that, wherever you trade him to doesn't matter. So why wouldn't you be okay trading him to the Mets, taking all their prospects and trying to make them weaker in the long run by taking all their prospects?
Because there's no way any of these teams are going to trade for him unless he guarantees the sign of the contract. There's no way any of these teams are going to give away their future and what they're asking for.
No one can know that, though, because if you're the Yankees, right? If you're Brian Cashman, you're not allowed to negotiate with Juan Soto before you make the trade.
Oh, hold on one second. They could talk to the team and say, listen, we want permission to talk to Juan and see where his head's at. Yes, they can. They could get permission from the organization.
If they got permission, right?
Yeah, no, if they want.
He just comes back and says, you know what, I'm just going to take it to free agency.
Yeah, and if he does that, he'll stay a national. He's going nowhere. And that means for the next 2 years, he'll be a national.
Anyways, which hurts the Nationals
anyways. Yes, but I think
why would you want to lose a guy for nothing?
I think Juan doesn't want to hurt the organization. I think Juan's a good guy. I think Juan wants the organization to get a boatload back for him, especially if he's walking away from the organization.
You got to remember
why would he want that?
Well,
why would he want that?
Because if he's a good person, I've seen a lot of good I've seen a lot of good players, make sure that those teams get what they want for the player that they, for the special player that he is.
Why would he want that? Why would he say, I want to make
to get his money?
Because he wants his money, and he has a good relationship with the organization.
He's gonna get his money anyways.
Right, but you got to remember too, he's also in a unique position that we never really see out of a player that young and that superstar player right away. And he already won a ring. He's not going to have to chase it.
And there's no doubt in my mind, Jeff, no doubt in my mind, if he gets traded somewhere, he's signing that contract. There's no doubt. There's no way an organization is going to trade away their future and possibly star players.
I have doubts about it because of his agent. His agent loves bidding wars. His agent has a history of just saying, no, we're going to free agency. We'll see you then, and we'll start a bidding war.
His agent has a very good relationship with the Yankees. If everybody knows, his agent has a very good relationship.
A good relationship with every team.
No, he's got a great relationship with Brian Cashman. Go look at the stories behind it, and the Dodgers too, and the Red Sox. I think he has a good relationship with.
Yeah, he's got a good relationship with.
Not with everybody. I can name a bunch of teams. Teams that he doesn't.
The only one.
No, not just
they're a poverty franchise.
Oh yeah.
Not just Oakland.
And he screwed him over with Johnny Damon. Big deal.
He doesn't have a good relationship with the Mets. He hates the Mets. Go look at it.
Not anymore. Dude, it's a whole new organization. It's a whole different one. The coupons aren't there anymore. So that ill will is gone. It's a whole new regime.
We'll see.
Stuck says Juan Soto being traded to the New York Yankees confirmed this morning when he was seen having a New York bagel for breakfast. That could be the Mets too, just as easily if you want to judge that.
We're not gonna talk about the whole show about Juan Soto. We still have 40 minutes and we got a lot to get into.
I just wanted to mention though, Jeff, the thing is, I think he'll be seeking the money still more than the winning right away because he already won the World Series, where I think he would take more, even if the prospect burden is going to be a lot for a trade right away, if he just wants to get out of the Nationals. And a lot of the teams that have been rumored so far are teams that are willing to trade. Even some of the sleepers, like we were saying with the Giants. I know you brought up the Braves, I think, in the initial part of the process as being a team because they have an owner that likes to spend money too. I would certainly not rule out the Phillies the way they love to spend money. And because of that, because he's not seeking the title, I think the team is going to push harder for him just to trust what they have around him and still rebuild, because a lot of those teams are very deep and still be able to make it work. There's not a team that's like a fringe contender, maybe probably outside of the Rangers, that are in that boat.
I mean, I get it, but if I'm Juan Soto, I want to go to free agency. I want the bidding war to happen. I want to get as much as possible. And I also don't want to deplete any team I'm going to of people that can also help me win. Everyone thinks that the players franchise something. They don't at all. They were forced into servitude by those teams because that's where they got drafted and that's what the rules are. They don't owe them anything because 95% of the players in the league would gladly go anywhere else other than where they were drafted.
That's fair. I think it's also more the 15 years. I don't think he wants the 15 years. I think he wants, like Errol was saying, 10 years.
He wants another contract.
10 years and close to
400. He wants to be A-Rod, where by the time he's in his 30s, mid 30s or early 30s, he can get another big contract, and he could. I mean, usually they say the baseball player's prime is from the age of 28 to 35. By the time he's 32, 33, he's still in the prime of his career. He can still play 3-4 more good years. So he'll be looking for that extension where he's going to, at that time, 10 years from now, could be 50, 60 million a year.
Not only that, players might have more power then too, even 7 years into this contract.
Right, but it's a double-edged sword because if you take that 10-year deal rather than a 15-year deal and you get hurt, you turn into Anthony Rendon. And I'm not saying that he will, but I'm just saying if it were to happen, your next contract is $2 million a year rather than still getting paid $30, $40 million a year. There's security in the long-term contract. You know what you're getting. Who cares
of course, to an extent.
Get what you want.
Well, yeah, but again, the 15 years, I think, because like you were saying, the average annual value is still lower than what he thinks he's worth. I think that's why the Nationals, that's why he's having a bad relationship with the Nationals right now, and that's why it seems like he's forcing his way out. And all the teams that are in there, I think, are willing to give that 10-year deal, or even maybe something larger than Tatis's deal, but still maybe less years a little bit.
Right, but Anthony Rendon can still get another contract. What's he worth after this one? Chris Sale can still get another contract. What's he worth after this one?
Okay.
There's security in having those extra 5 years for, if it's 30 or 40 or whatever million a year, because you know that that's what you're getting. Who cares what other people are going to get, or if it goes up, just get what you're happy with. Because if it goes south, you're going to get way less. You could cost yourself $100 million doing that.
Definitely possible. You're also, though, seeing now front offices aren't even paying the veteran players as much, maybe with the exception of the Angels, who just like to spend reckless money for whatever reason. But beyond that, players like Rendon, those types of hitters, aren't getting paid that same level too. So I think they're banking on getting the younger the contracts as they're younger, and then getting that other either larger deal that's shorter and more money, or the second contract like what Soto seems like he's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. How crazy is it Juan Soto's going to get paid more than the entire Pittsburgh Pirates franchise?
Yeah, I saw that.
He's going to get a lot of money.
He's going to get a ton of money.
Yeah, Max Scherzer actually is paying more than the Orioles will pay.
I do want to get into basketball because we have a certain amount of time to get into some of the stuff that we need to get into. The Spurs say that they will take a first-round pick. Well, they'll be interested in taking Russell. You did this wrong. Your whole headline over here. The Spurs said to teams that they would be willing to take on Russell Westbrook's final year on his contract if they give him a first-round draft pick. The Spurs are rebuilding now. They traded away their point guard. It makes a lot of sense on what they're trying to do. Their coach is about to retire. Hall of Famer, obviously from that great franchise that won 5 titles with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard. That team is pretty much flushed away. So, this organization is going to try to rebuild now and try to look elsewhere. So they're going to try to, bring in more, first round draft picks and rebuild the way they did when they won those championships. So am I surprised that if the Spurs make a move for Russell Westbrook, they're going to make a move like this? Russell Westbrook's done. He is done. He might, if he goes to the right organization, he could be a 6-man off the bench, kind of like Carmelo Anthony. I don't think he's the same player he once was. And it's crazy the downfall this guy turned into. I mean, this guy was a triple-double. I mean, he's one of the greatest, he had one of the greatest runs for, 5-year span that we've ever seen any player have. The last player that did that was a guy that we never got a chance to see, and Oscar Robertson. I mean, this guy was special. And it's crazy how much this guy fell off. It really is. When he went to the Rockets, really, it was done. It was over for him. And it's just a shame watching a player of this magnitude really just fall off as quick as he did. And I
don't think it's a case of falling off, though.
He fell off, man.
I don't think it's a case of falling off.
What do you call it?
I think this is a case of, and no offense, and I know you're going to get mad when I do this and yell and scream, but you like to go, look at the numbers. Okay, he's a walking triple-double. Great. But that's because he was on a team all by himself. And when you only have one basketball out there, you can't just say, oh, well, he averages 30 points a night, and this guy averages 30 points a night, and this guy averages 30 points, and you put them together, and now we'll score 150 points a night because these 3 guys are just going to score 90 on their own. There's only one basketball, and your numbers go down, and your stats go down because he has to share the basketball. This is the perfect case of the numbers line to numbers.
Really? Because even an off season this year, he almost averaged a triple-double. So that's wrong. Okay.
He's a garbage can is what he is. That's exactly
a garbage can. You're going to call a guy that averaged 18, 7, and 7 last year a garbage can?
Oh, 18, 7, and 7. Terrific. Is that a triple-double a night? Because that's what he was averaging. No.
I mean, it's
he had to share the basketball.
Listen, if he was at the prime of his career and he was playing with LeBron James, he'd be close to a triple-double every single game. Okay? He's not the same player. He's not. He's older. He's slower. He's not. Watch him this year. He was slower. And that was, you watch the games. I didn't watch as many games, and you're absolutely right. So what? There's only one basketball. So you're going to tell me that Russell Westbrook this year, and he's not the same player he once was, and he averaged almost 8 rebounds a game, and he averaged 7 assists. If he was in the prime of his career,
way more than 8 rebounds. Everyone was missing shots on that team. Everyone missed shots every time down the court.
He shot like 5 less shots than he shot when he was playing for OKC and even the Rockets.
Even 1 year from the Wizards too in 2021, 19 shots a game he averaged, and then 15.8 last year with the Lakers too. So it was about 3.2 difference.
Yeah,
in that.
it's a huge difference. Okay, and to sit here and say that Russell and I listen.
But when you play on a team with a bunch of ball hogs, right? Because Russell is a ball dominant guy, and so is LeBron. And when you have 2 ball dominant guys.
LeBron's not a ball hog. I mean, how is he a ball hog?
LeBron's definitely a ball
hog.
No,
I
wouldn't say that.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
no,
he
he's
likes
not.
to pass when the big shot is on the line, but when he's got his made up, when he's taking the shot,
come on,
a
Jeff.
certain time down the court, he's taking the shot.
First of all, I would disagree with you. He's the least. He's a conceited player, no question that he is. But he is not a ball dominant player. He never was. That's the strength of LeBron James.
It took a while for him to develop his shooting.
You know, that's the strength of who he is as a player.
His shooting's gotten better, but he wasn't a very good shooter.
Remember, you want to say Russell Westbrook? He is a ball dominant player.
Yes.
No question that he is. But to say that LeBron James is wrong.
And he's a terrible shooter. There's a reason why they call him Westbrook.
Well, yeah, because his shooting got inefficient, where it became that was a big problem for him later on. The Thunder had enough, at least pieces around him, where they didn't have to have him shoot as much, so it didn't look as bad. And once he became even in that 2017 season, when they still averaged a triple-double, he still was very inefficient shooting, and that's when it became much more of a 3-point shooting league.
I think the problem with Russell Westbrook is the age. I really do believe it's catching up to him. That's what I think, and a lot of teams aren't interested in bringing him in because everywhere he's gone, he hasn't made them better. Right. He's made them worse. So
and things are going bad when they have to have a phone call, the 3 of them, AD, LeBron, and Russell Westbrook. They had to have a phone call to vow to each other to make it work. What are you guys, married? You guys play basketball. Get out there and run around.
And now nobody wants him. He's still a decent player. I would take him on the Knicks. I would, but I wouldn't also because it scares me because of what he has done everywhere he's gone. He hasn't made anybody better. So is he going to make the Knicks better? Probably not. No. So I don't want him there.
And there's no way he's worth $47 million to a contending team.
No, and I
but
think
he's also a cancer. He's also a cancer. People hate him. Bradley Beal hated him, right? People in Oklahoma City hated him. Clearly, LeBron's hating him.
No, I would agree with you. I don't think LeBron hates him. I think
he just prefers Kyrie Irving.
Yes, I mean Kyrie Irving's still in the prime of his career. Is one of the top 10 players in the league.
You prefer a flat earther that couldn't, dude. You want to talk about Kyrie being an absolute bum and unreliable? He no-showed his own basketball tournament. He no-showed the Drew League.
Let me ask you a question. You're not, and honest to God, you're not going to say, as far as talent's concerned, Kyrie's not a top 10 player in the league?
He probably is talent-wise. You want to know what? Talent isn't everything. Because you can look at how he's been a cancer everywhere he's gone to. The Celtics clearly hated him, right? Unwelcome man. Oh, I'm going to go and start my own super team. Clearly, KD and him don't get along. Ran Ben Simmons into the gutter, didn't they?
Oh, Ben Simmons might have ran himself into the gutter, but
right. But that's not everything. People hate Kyrie. No one wants to play with him because he's a cancer. If anyone wanted him, people would have been lining up to trade for him. No one's doing it because he's a cancer. No one's saying, "Oh, I'm not trading for him because he can't play. Oh, he's no good." Because that's not the case. No one wants to trade for him because he's a cancer.
Maybe so, but if Kyrie goes to the Lakers,
to me how Rudy Gobert gets traded before he does.
Well, Rudy Gobert also is a piece that the Timberwolves really, really needed.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about one of the elite defenders in the league, going to a team that has nothing down
25th ranked defensive.
I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, who's a fantastic player, he's just not a great defensive player.
I get what you're saying, but this is a league in free agency. They do anything to get players that are available. Every team does. Every single one of them does. And you're going to tell me that 29 other teams, all 29 other teams other than Brooklyn, no one wants to give up a goddamn thing for him. No one? What does that tell you about this guy?
Well, I don't think nobody wants to give him a goddamn thing. I think what they're asking for is ridiculous.
Not only that, they're going to have to give him what?
Did you hear what they want for Kyrie Irving?
Oh, my God.
Did you hear what they want?
They wanted Towns Edwards from Minnesota.
They're ridiculous. They're not getting him. For Towns and Edwards, what is he not? What are they nuts?
But look at what Rudy Gobert went for. That's Rudy Gobert.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're judging that as thinking that's realistic market
Anthony
value.
Edwards, who's one of the best young players in the league, and Karl Anthony Towns, one of the best big men in the league, for Kyrie Irving.
Anthony Edwards is a bum. He couldn't guard Bo Cruz.
Oh God, please. No, but
straight bum. Best player in the draft. My ass, Bo Cruz dunked on him.
Snuck says Harden ate a lot of shots in Houston. Kyrie is awesome, best entertainer in basketball. Yes, for a soap opera of every offseason with Kyrie Irving. What does he want? Where does he actually want to go? And how much does he want to get paid? And what team will be ruined next?
What you're saying. But look at what you're saying, Speedy. Look how you just prefaced that whole thing. Oh, good for a soap opera. This is why people don't want him.
Oh yeah, the Lakers. I think they're the only team that are going to trade for him. I think we've made that pretty clear.
Right. So think about that. 28 other teams are all like, nah, don't want that dude.
Right. And they're only
good. There's your top player in the league, always a top 10 player in the league. Yeah, no, not really. Because what he brings in talent, it's doubly as bad on the effect for your team.
Yeah, LeBron's the only one that can control him. We know. And that's why the Lakers are the only team interested. And right now the Spurs are the only team that's interested in helping them facilitate that because they got to get Westbrook's contract out of there to have any shots.
Right. And that's why would be brilliant for San Antonio. Because San Antonio would just be, oh, give me a first round.
Right. They're wanting to take on some first round picks from the Lakers in order to make it work.
Sell him halfway through the season.
Right. That's what they'll end up doing. And I think that, but they're the only team right now that's even willing to help that kind of thing. OKC was originally about a month ago, but they're now out on that. They would have had to do it before the draft.
And the latest on Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant. I think one way or another, I think Kevin Durant will be a Brooklyn Net next year. I can't see them moving for the amount of what they're asking for. They would have a team's going to have to give them a boatload for Kevin Durant. So unless Phoenix is trying to make that move for DeAndre Ayton and it makes sense for them, and I think Phoenix right now is the only. Now we heard that Steph Curry reached out to Kevin Durant. I think that was just a story.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, Golden State hasn't contacted them.
Yeah, so I think that's just a story.
I'm not sure they can move him right now, though. Can they?
They can. They have.
If they match a qualifying offer, don't they have to keep him until at least after the trade deadline?
No. They actually before the season ended, he opted into the
contract.
The contract. So they have full control and full.
No. DeAndre Ayton.
Yes, I think they can move him. I think they could sign and trade him. They could do that.
But I think Jeff's right. I think he's not eligible to be traded until a certain point.
Is it true? Is that true?
Because it was a qualifying offer that they matched. So I don't think they're.
I think he can't be traded until like December or something like that.
Then it's not Phoenix. Again, I'm going to go back to it. I don't think Kevin Durant's getting traded. I think Kevin Durant will be a Brooklyn Net next year, as much as I think Kyrie Irving will be a Brooklyn Net next year with Ben Simmons. I don't see it happening. So it doesn't. The Donovan Mitchell thing. I think it will happen one way or another. I think what we've heard is every analyst that it's going to take weeks for this thing to go through.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I do think of one way or another, the Knicks are going to get him because I think that's where he wants to be. But it's going to take it because I'm hearing that they want, I think 7 first-round draft picks from the Knicks. I think one way or another, Danny Ainge is going to have to take it down a little bit. I think the Knicks will probably offer him 5. And 2, and then they were asking for 3 or 4 players.
No, they can't do 5 picks and 2 players.
Yeah,
4 players. That's too much.
I think they will eventually, cut down on the picks, and I think the Knicks will probably. Grimes seems like the guy that they really, really want. I've told everybody how much I like the kid. Reminds me of Devin Booker, and I know in the Knicks.
Toppin too. I think they want Obi.
Yeah, I think it's either Obi Toppin or Quigley. It's one or the other. So I think they're going to have to move. Grimes is going to be the lead guy in that trade. I think that's the guy that they want. So, and the Knicks are going to have to lose him. And I think a lot of people think that the kid's going to be very, very good. But you got to give something to get something. So, and they're not going to trade RJ Barrett.
No.
So, it's going to probably be Grimes and probably either Quigley or Obi Toppin and 5 first-round draft picks. I think that's what's going to take to get.
Who really gives a shit? The excitement in New York is going to be watching two guys that want out of their team both be forced to play with each other and have to look at Ben Simmons at the same time. Yikes.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen. I can't see Kyrie going anywhere because I don't think anybody's going to give him what he wants. Even though LeBron says give up whatever first round draft picks you need to get him.
This is gonna be the first time in 20 years the Knicks aren't the embarrassment of New York, because what you're gonna see in Brooklyn is gonna be a circus.
It's crazy. Everybody thought it was going to be Kyrie and Kevin going to be traded. I think it's the Knicks going to get the guy that they wanted, but that doesn't mean the Knicks are going to win. I still think that the Knicks are the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. They're still missing a piece. Even if they get Donovan Mitchell and they have Jalen Brunson and RJ, and even if Julius Randle, if they trade away, what's his name again, the 3-point shooter?
Fournier,
because it's so the contracts fit and they keep Julius Randle, which is a pretty good starting four right there. And you had the big man that they that they added in the offseason, Harstein again. I mean, or Robinson, Mitchell. I also heard that Mitchell Robinson could be involved in that trade too.
Mitchell Robinson, it seems like, is who the Knicks want to trade most among those, like, I guess, 4 young players that have been rumored in these trades, if they can even move that. But they even might deal him in a different deal too, maybe to get some players back that could help their depth too, in a separate trade if they have to do a 3-way trade with Fournier.
They might have to move
Utah. Yeah,
they might have to move Mitchell Robinson because once they bring in Donovan Mitchell, if they bring in Donovan Mitchell, he's going to want an extension.
Right. So say he's not in the deal for Donovan Mitchell, hypothetically. Let's say it's Grimes and Quigley and the picks, like you were saying. Then maybe Mitchell Robinson could be dealt in another deal.
I think they'll keep Quigley because I think Donovan Mitchell and him have a relationship. So that's what I think. So.
I'm just judging the scenarios. If Danny Ainge really does want the 5 first-round picks and the 2-player combo, like we've been hearing, then maybe they could deal Mitchell Robinson.
Danny Ainge is going to fleece the Knicks. He hates the Knicks, and he'll do everything he can. Even though Donovan Mitchell wants to be a Knick, he will do everything he can to fleece them.
Of course.
He will do that because he hates the Knicks. We all know that
it's
he
hates
hates
the Knicks. He hates the Knicks. He just wants the best deal for himself.
Yeah, but
That's what he did for Brooklyn. It has nothing to do with hating anybody. You think everyone's got something else?
No, dude, he hates the Knicks. Dude, he hates the Knicks organization.
Yeah, that might be possible. Everybody hates the Knicks.
I
the
think
Knicks fans are like the Cowboys fans of the NBA. Every year we're going to be so great.
I don't. First of all, and that's wrong, Jeff. If you know any Knicks fan out here, we do not think the Knicks are going to be great. We're excited if the Knicks are in a playoff contender. I don't think I've ever heard a Knicks fan say every single year we're going to be great. That is so farce and so such bull. They're not the Ranger fans. The Knicks fans already know that we're doomed every single year because we don't have a superstar. I don't know where you get this stuff. Any Knicks fan knows. No Knicks fan. I haven't heard a Knicks fan say yes.
But every Knicks fan.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Yeah, but we never think that the Knicks are going to be great. Any Knicks fan that you know.
Was the best draft pick.
Come on, Jeff.
That's only recently.
Jeff,
they haven't had good draft picks.
No Knicks fan.
Or they traded them away.
There is no Knicks fan that could sit here today and tell us that the Knicks are going to be great. I've never heard that before, ever. I have never heard of, even a delusional Knicks fan doesn't think that the Knicks are going to be a top team. When the Knicks were the 4th seed with Julius Randle a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and we thought, I didn't think the Knicks were going to they'd be lucky to get out of the first round. I don't know where anybody get this.
I don't think anyone was even that season before.
The Knicks fans are not the Ranger fans. They're not.
I don't think anyone, even in the national media or even other Knicks fans, are even saying, all right, the Knicks are going to jump from a 4 seed to a 2 seed or anything like that. They were either going to stay a 4 or in that middle area or be a play-in team.
No, you want whatever. You are completely right. The Knicks fans are not the Rangers fans, but you're setting the bar really low because Ranger fans are some of the scummiest people.
Yeah, but the Ranger fans think that when they make the playoffs, a lot of them think that they're going to the Stanley Cup. I mean, when they went to the
Rangers,
there are a lot of them.
Just the worst people on the planet.
If you were the Knicks, if the Knicks got into the second round, nobody thinks the Knicks are going to win a championship. Okay, I'm telling you.
Which I think is what we were thinking at the time. We were all saying
they're
going to beat Atlanta, and then if they beat Atlanta, they'll get smoked in the next round by Milwaukee or wherever else they would have played.
Nobody would sit here and say, "Oh my God, this is our year." Even if we get Donovan Mitchell and they keep Julius Randle and they have a great starting 5, nobody's going to sit here today and say, "Oh, the Knicks are going to have a chance to win a championship," because we're skeptical about this team still. Until we see it on the court, nobody's going to believe it. So I'm telling you, Knicks fans, the one thing I can tell you about Knicks fans over here, We are not delusional. We do know our basketball, and we still don't. Even with Donovan Mitchell, nobody thinks that the Knicks are going to win a championship. I think that we're hoping to middle of the pack type of team,
5 seed, 4 seed,
yeah, where we can compete and maybe surprise people. But that doesn't mean we're going to win a championship. And anybody that thinks that is a Knicks fan is an idiot. And I've never heard a Knicks fan say that. So you're wrong. I've never heard.
And if Utah is really selling, right? Here's another problem for Kyrie. Okay, if Utah is really selling, and they're selling Donovan Mitchell, and they've just sold Rudy Gobert, you got to think that they're also selling Mike Conley, and that's going to shut off an avenue for a point guard somewhere.
Yeah, possibly. His contract's pretty big too, though. But yeah, it's definitely possible because
people are always willing to pay for people.
Yeah, but because Conley's played well the last couple of years, so he'll still have a value.
And his contract's pretty big too.
Yeah, it is. Now it's on the back end of it, so it's not as much as it was when he first got it, when it was egregious. But still, it's something where because he's played well and maybe he doesn't have that same kind of issues that Kyrie Irving does off the court, they might want to consider that.
Who would you rather have, Mike Conley or Kyrie? I'm going Conley 8 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, I probably would too, just because of his defense too. His problem is he's had injury issues.
Destroy your team.
Snug says, no, the Beav is not a Knicks fan. He is a Chicago Bulls fan. Andrew Merklinger says LeBron is the most overrated. He shrinks in big moments and is a horrible shooter, not a good defender, and uses his teammates as a scapegoat. He's a good defender.
LeBron is a great
He's just
defender.
older. He's just older, so he's not going to play 100% all the time.
Before you cut, I'm sorry, Jeff. Just so everybody knows, LeBron James for like 5 or 6 years was arguably the defensive player of the year, 5 or 6 years, and he never got it. He never won.
The problem with that whole thing is LeBron is the best player doing anything in the NBA when he wants to. The problem is he's real lazy. He takes a ton of plays off. How many times last year did it make the Sports Center not top 10 watching him just stand around watching his guy go to the basket and score? It's crazy. It's crazy. But he is the best when he wants to be. He just doesn't want to be all the time.
No, and you might be right. I think
LeBron, I mean, that chase down block of Iguodala was one of the nastiest things you've ever seen.
LeBron is a special player, and anybody that doesn't think that is sad. I don't know what you're watching. He is lazy. He's not Michael Jordan, but who is? Right. Kobe and Michael were two, and I'll give Kobe Bryant a lot of credit, even though I'm not a Kobe fan, and Tyler would probably love to hear this.
Oh boy,
okay. But
and let's be honest, is there a bigger piece of shit in the league than LeBron James? What a piece of shit!
Well, he's a liberal. He's a big liberal.
Yeah, but to talking trash about Boston, what a piece of shit you are to say that about Boston, but yet he owns a piece of the Red Sox. So if Boston people are really all that racist, what does it make you if you want to profiteer off racism?
By the way, Giancarlo Stanton wins the MVP. So,
yay!
I'm just saying. He won the MVP. If the fans are watching the All-Star game, he hits the 2-run home run. What was it? 455 feet, which one of the furthest home run hit in an All-Star game.
I didn't even know that was being played, did we?
Whatever. He
won. You didn't have any bets on it, Jeff?
No, I don't bet on pretend, right? Like that's just I bet when people try. Okay, if it doesn't go your way, it doesn't go your way. But you don't know who's trying in this game and who's not.
Snug says LeBron is a good defender, not like that bum Marcus Smart. And the All-Star game sucks. American League wins up for the 9th straight year. That's what they were saying.
Well, it's crazy. It is really crazy what's going on.
457 feet.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, which is one of the furthest home runs in All-Star game history. So it's a bomb, that's for sure.
But he's got that kind of strength, though. That's his thing.
Yeah,
he just hits missiles.
We know Stan has the best pure power.
I thought he was going to be in the home run derby, and
he was supposed to be. He dropped out last second,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
I was very surprised.
It is not crazy. As a Yankee fan, you should be thanking God he didn't do it. Look at what happened to Judge. Was it last year? Judge was in it, and then all of a sudden,
not last year.
No, Judge was in it. Judge was in it last.
Couple of years ago,
couple of years ago, right?
In
and then
Tampa.
He started and then he started the second half of the season and was like 0 for 60.
Yeah, in 18. Yeah, in 18. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he had that bad month of August, and then he
terrible.
Yeah, But that doesn't happen all the time. That's kind of
Dude, it totally happens all the time. How many guys you see and they talk about, the home run derby messed up the swing?
I looked at it. It's very 50-50. Like they'll break out of it sometimes, and then they'll do other things. And then there are some that stay hot right in going to that All-Star break or out of the All-Star break too. It's a 50-50 sample. I looked at it a while ago. It's kind of, you're right. It's psychologically you want to keep the swing kind of because but that's also the wave of the game now. They want to keep the launch angle. They want to keep the pull side hitting. That's the way of baseball.
Well, I will say this. Whatever. It doesn't matter who won the home run derby, but I was surprised that Giancarlo Stanton broke. He dropped out because everybody was looking forward to seeing both New York guys, go against one another. But again, it was a great home run derby. I mean, Juan Soto winded up. I think it's too long. I think they tried to cut it down. They give him 3 minutes, and then they get if they hit a bomb over 450 feet, they get an extra. It gets an extra 30 minutes and 30 seconds.
The distance is rewarded. Now the thing is though, they actually reduced the time technically because they used to play outs where there was more pitches being taken. So now at least they have to swing almost every time now.
Yeah, it's just honestly, I didn't like it. I think it's too long. It was just too long. I think the home run derby, it was like 2.5 hours.
That's usually around what it is. That's usually around what it is.
It's as long as a game. You're watching these guys hitting home runs.
the games are definitely
because of the commercials.
Well, the commercials, yes.
And I understand the players need time to rest because they're smacking balls all over. It's tiring. Hitting the ball 400 and some odd feet.
Right.
You know what I mean? But these guys are professionals. You know what I mean? So they've been doing it their whole lives. And they're the best of the best. So that's not an excuse. If you're going to make the money that you make and you wanted to get into it, And Albert Pujols, I got to say this. Albert Pujols, everybody keeps talking about Miguel Cabrera. Honestly, if you were to ask me right now, who's a better player, Albert Pujols or Miguel Cabrera, I'm telling you Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is one of the, if not the greatest right-handed hitter we've ever seen. He's right there with the greats.
Yeah.
I mean, how many home runs? 685 home runs?
Yes.
I mean, the guy, but before season's end, he could have 700 home runs.
If he plays enough, yeah. He could get there for sure.
I mean, how many RBIs does he have? Does he have 3,000 RBIs? I think he has 3,000.
Yeah.
He's got to have 3,000.
Yeah. No, he definitely has 3,000. I know he has 3,000 hits in his career, too. And he said, I think, a couple batting titles as well, multiple MVPs.
I mean, if you're not going to say that Albert Pujols isn't the greatest, one of the top 5 greatest players of all time, I don't know what.
2,170 RBIs in his career.
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, he's a great player, but to say he's top 5 is just.
Oh, dude,
he
is
all the time. He's not top 5.
Oh, he absolutely is.
How about this right now? He in his career, as of right now, he has exactly 3,333 hits. 296 career average, 685 home runs, 915 career OPS.
Dude, he is one of the top 5 greatest players of all time. 110, 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 2-time World Series champion, Gold Glover, 6-time Silver Slugger, batting title, National League MVP.
Now hold on, this is a fun exercise. Now you're naming accomplishments towards being one of the greatest players, like winning a World Series goes towards being one of the.
Oh yeah, how about this? One of the best playoff players in Major League history. Also.
That's great, but there's so many better.
How many guys have hit more home runs than him?
Was a better player before all the steroids. Forget the steroids.
3.
Barry Bonds was a better player.
Okay, Barry Bonds is one of the players who has more home runs than him all time.
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays doesn't have more home runs than him all time. I would agree he's probably a better all-around player, but yeah, Pujols passed him in home runs though for his career.
It's not all about offense. Listen, this Yankees team is basically the same Yankees team as last year. They got like a new catcher, which matters or whatever. But here's the difference. They're playing defense this year. They're the #1 defensive team in all of baseball. And that has taken them from 3rd place in the AL East to record-breaking numbers this year. Defense matters. What is wrong with you people? You guys only look at hitting numbers.
You're
Defense
saying,
matters.
all right, so you're saying Albert Pujols isn't a great defender?
No.
He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner.
Defender. He's not better. Yeah, great. Not better than Willie Mays.
If you don't think that Albert Pujols is a top 5 player of all time, you're crazy. Okay?
No, he's not.
He is. He is, dude.
Not even close.
He is.
Jeff, are you judging just hitters or all players?
No, all around, dude. all around best players. Barry Bonds, even before the steroids, Barry Bonds wasn't Barry Bonds like the first 30 guy or something?
Yes.
Right. He was stealing bases, doing all that kind of stuff. He had speed.
Dude, Willie Mays and him have almost the same batting average. He's got more hits than Willie Mays. He's got more RBIs. He's got more RBIs than Willie Mays. He's got more home runs than Willie Mays. Dude, he's a better overall player than Willie Mays.
And Willie Mays played better defense.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Dude, defense matters.
How many Gold Gloves? Did Gold Gloves even
12
exist?
Gold Gloves.
12 Gold Gloves. Right?
Yeah, I would give Mays the edge too, a little bit.
You were standing there jerking off because Pujols won 3. Willie Mays has won 12.
That's great. They play different positions.
Right, center field is a lot harder position than first.
Again, I'm in almost every other statistic. In every other statistic, Albert Pujols is better.
Right, when you're close in every other statistic and you blow away somebody in defense, he's probably a better player.
He's not a better player, dude. Willie Mays
played a much harder position to play and was the best at it.
That's fine. He also played in the steroid era. Pujols and still dominated.
Did good for
no,
you.
no,
Willie Mays
no,
played
no.
in the steroid era.
I just said Albert Pujols played in the steroid era and still hit 685 home runs. Okay,
How do you know he wasn't doing it?
He's not. He's been tested plenty of times. He has not done it. So to sit here and say, and I don't care what you say, Jeff, you could say Willie Mays is better. He's not. Albert Pujols is a better player. He's a better player than Willie Mays. He is.
You're the definitive word on
I'm just telling you what I think. Just telling you what I think. You want to say defense? Fine. He's a better defender. All around offense, even some of the career things that he's done. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say Albert Pujols. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen. That's for sure.
Stuck says Donovan Mitchell caught Stanton's home run, sign that he'll sign with the Knicks within the week. 2018 was a great year for baseball. It's too long, and center field is way more valuable than first for defense.
Yeah, it's not even close. But no one will acknowledge that because that doesn't help his argument, so he won't say that.
Say what?
It's way harder to play center field than it is for base.
I'm not saying defensive. Again, you want to say that he's a better defensive player? Fine. Better offensive player, Albert Pujols. Who do I think has better offensive numbers in the time that they did it? I'm going to say Albert Pujols. And by the way, Willie Mays played more years than Albert Pujols, and Albert Pujols has better numbers and has better numbers, has more RBIs, more hits, more everything.
This is the problem with the numbers game, okay? Because you're going, oh, just the numbers, just the numbers. Willie Mays played in the dead ball era.
No, he didn't. That ball era was that ball era was 30 years before Mays played.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Baseball has
they had bigger parks. Yes, I understand.
How many World Series did Willie Mays win?
I think 3.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think 3. I'll double
He
check
won
for
1.
Sure.
He won 1 in 1954. He won 1 World Series.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking of National League pennants. Yeah, you're right.
He won 1 World Series.
Hold on. So Speedy, just remember this moment. Just remember this because I want just uniformity across the board on this. He's saying World Series championships are part of the equation on who's better.
If you're going to try to compare what they've done, their statistics and what they've done in their careers,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Just remember that you're doing that when it comes to Super Bowls and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Just remember that that's what you're doing. So when that argument comes back up and I go 6 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowls, 8 Super Bowls for Brady, and Rodgers has 1, just remember that's part of the equation on who's better because that's what you're doing right now.
All I'm saying is
uniformity.
All I'm saying is how's this to shut you up? In my top 5 players of all time, Albert Pujols is the top 5. Maybe not in yours. In mine, it is. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I thought you probably forced him to hang up.
Jesus Christ. Argue about everything.
No, it's not an argument.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
The argument comes because you move the goalposts. Because on some arguments, it's a team game. You can't help that this guy had a better defense.
Baseball is not a team game. Baseball is not a team game.
Absolutely is a team game.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
If it's Albert Pujols and 8 scrubs out there playing, look at where Juan Soto's playing right now. Well, baseball's not a team game, so the Washington Nationals should win the World Series because it's not a team game, and Juan Soto's the best player. So they should win, correct? Because it's not a team game.
I don't think baseball is a team game. I don't. I think it's a.
Then
it's not.
why isn't one? Then why aren't the Nationals and Juan Soto in first place?
What happened?
Then why aren't the Nationals and Juan Soto in first place?
What do you mean? Why?
He's the best player in the. He's the best player in the game.
No,
so why aren't they in
I didn't
first?
say he was the best player in the game. I said he's one
So
of the
who's
top.
the best player in the game?
But they
Why
say
are
Mike
the
Trout.
Angels not-
They say Mike Trout. But
then
who's the
why
best
are the
player
Angels-
this year? Who's the best player? Aaron Judge. Where are the Yankees? In first place. So you want to yap your mouth. You want to argue things, but you can't argue that, can you? Aaron Judge is the best player in the league right now. Is he not? Is he not? He is. We're the Yankees.
If you shut the fuck up. I
No,
would
you
tell
don't
I'm
shut the
agreeing with
fuck
you.
up.
I would tell you I'm agreeing with you. If you ever shut the fuck up.
Oh,
If
all
he
you
not-
do is
if he not-
argue.
if he not- Big Bird. Big
Oh,
Bird.
God, this guy just doesn't shut up, man.
No, but I'm doing what you do.
Wow.
Right? I would agree with you. Judge is probably the best player this year. So hey, Ohtani, MVP last year. Why weren't the Angels? Why didn't the Angels win?
Because he
win the World
he
Series?
shouldn't have been the MVP. Again,
Okay,
I'll go back at it.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Vlad Guerrero. Why didn't the Blue Jays win the World Series last year? They had the best player. It's not a team game.
Are you
Right.
done?
And then all of a sudden, because you lose, because now I'll say, okay, Vlad Guerrero's the best. Why didn't they win? And now you go,
Who won the National League MVP
I'm
last
wrong
year?
because it is a team game.
Who won the National League MVP last year?
National League MVP was
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper. Yep.
And why didn't the Phillies win?
Their
your guess
bullpen
is
is unmanageable. That's why.
Your guess is as good as
the
mine.
Phillies have the most unmanageable bullpen in baseball.
No, but Speedy, you're wrong because it's not a team game.
No. The Phillies have literally the most unmanageable baseball.
I don't think baseball's a team game. I don't.
But that's why Speedy can't bring up the bullpen. Whoever has the best player wins. And so it should have been Harper versus Guerrero last year. Why didn't that happen? Because it's not a team game. So clearly the best player just catapults right to the top. Not a team game.
It's not. I don't think baseball's a team game at all. I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Really? It takes one guy to win?
In the playoffs,
It takes
we've
one
seen
guy
it.
to win?
We've seen it. Yeah. I mean,
No,
if a hot player is hot, yeah, they win. They can win. Yeah. We've seen it. One guy could get hot. We've seen one guy get hot, and that team wins. Yeah.
Right. That can help you win. But if
it's the
one
main
pitcher
reason.
One pitcher can't pitch every game.
You want to say players, and that I think that baseball is not the ultimate team game, and it's not. I
Then
don't.
I want Aaron Judge just standing out there throwing the ball and running around catching it by himself, trying to throw it to himself at first base. It's not a team game.
It's not because one pitcher could dominate a game to win it. It's not the team; it's one player.
Right, but part of that is people playing defense behind you. We saw no hitters this year where one guy jumped up and robbed a home run away from.
And we've seen a no hitter this year where barely anybody had a chance to hit the ball, so they were pop up flies.
And that can happen too. And did that same guy that pitched that no hitter go out the next day and pitch again?
Jeff, you could sit here and argue with me. It's not the ultimate team game. It's not. Out of all the the sports that we're talking, football, football, hockey, basketball. Speedy,
what you do. You move the goalpost.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, out of the four big sports, it's the least team game. Fact. It is
What are you
fact.
talking about? Basketball is the most one-on-one.
No,
One guy
it's
can completely
no.
change.
Basketball's a team game. Come on. Get out of here. Basketball's a team game. Yeah, you need you get two dominant players, you can win. Absolutely. It's an ultimate team game. That's a
Which
fact.
can't happen in baseball. Which can't happen in baseball. You
Can't
can't
happen
just
in
have two guys and a bunch of scrubs and still win. You can't do it.
Whatever, Jeff. That's your
We
argument.
can't.
That's your argument. That's great.
We've seen LeBron win. It was just Kyrie and LeBron, right? With Cleveland, it's just Kyrie and LeBron.
You know what's so funny about you, Jeff? When you can admit you're wrong. That's the thing. When you know you're wrong, you'll find a way to argue anything. I could sit here today and tell you the earth is purple, and you'll find a way to argue something else. All right? Because that's what you do, Jeff. You argue. You got your you're a purple eater, okay?
Maybe you're colorblind.
I mean,
I don't know what you're seeing.
maybe I am. Maybe I'm colorblind to see you after.
I don't know what you're seeing, so that might be your reality.
Yeah, my reality is you're crazy. You're lost in. Okay? That's what I think.
Crazy. You moved the goalpost and go, baseball's not a team game. And then your next argument was, baseball's not the ultimate team game.
By the way,
That
shout
one
out to
word
John.
changes a lot.
Shout out to John Anthony. He says we'd love to see him on the Yankees. What was he talking about?
But we don't have the proper bench right now. I probably mean farm system, Anthony. But yeah, the Yankees, I guess he's saying maybe don't have a realistic shot of trading for Soto is what he's thinking.
No, the Yankees have a good farm system. They can get
the Yankees have a good farm
They,
system.
they have Domingo. They have Dominguez. They have two shortstops that are amongst the league's top 40.
Right.
They could get them.
Right.
They can get Soto if they want him. Here's the thing. Why would the Yankees go after Soto when they have one of the best players in the league and just sign your best player? Just go out and sign him. If he wants to, if you want to continue winning, the Yankees should just sign Aaron Judge. Why would you go after Juan Soto? You're gonna have to give away your future for Juan Soto. It doesn't make sense. If I was the Yankees, just sign your player. If you want to continue moving forward with a star player in the face of your team, just sign Aaron Judge. And he says, what does he say?
Farm, yes, but our worst of needs to go. And now they don't have needs really right now, though.
They don't have. I think the one need they need is another starting pitcher.
Okay, fine, but depth. You could any team could use depth.
They can have. What's his name again? It's coming back from the
Herman,
60.
yeah.
Herman's coming back. So do the Yankees really need a pitcher if Herman comes back and he's healthy? I don't know if they do. The worst outfielders. Do you know that the Yankees have the best defensive their rating? What is the defensive rating in the outfield? Is the best in the league right now with the outfield?
Not of needs. Yeah, no. We're saying though the team needs. The Yankees don't have a significant flaw though.
They really don't.
So when you're judging a Soto trade perspective, their pieces become a lot more expendable if they want to pursue that kind of play.
I don't think the Yankees have honestly any weaknesses in that team. And if you want to say their starting rotation, they don't have a real number 2 guy.
Right.
That's fine. Go after a number 2 guy if that's what you think that you're.
But the playoffs are unknown. It might be a good thing. We don't know. Go ahead, Jeff.
Their weaknesses aren't like terrible weaknesses because I would say to you, I don't think Donaldson has played all that great this year. So third base you could kind of consider a weakness.
Yeah, but LeMahieu's was playing a lot of thirds, so they don't really need it.
I understand that, and not for nothing. I love Trevino, by the way. I think Trevino is great, definite upgrade. But you could also make an argument. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa isn't the strongest piece either. Is he suitable? Yes.
Great defensive player.
He sure does. Nope, defense doesn't matter, remember?
No, but he's a great defensive player. And he's hitting, I think, what is he at, 270 for a shortstop right now?
Yeah, and he was supposed to be
that's good for a shortstop.
His value wasn't supposed to be that anyway.
Right, but defense doesn't matter. Where were you the last 20 minutes?
What are you turning into Mike Guido now?
Oh, God.
No.
That was his always classic saying.
I did not say defense never matters. I said that Willie Mays, all I said was Willie Mays, just because his defense is not better than Albert Pujols, because when you compare
But you dismiss it completely because all you do is go home runs, RBIs. That's all that matters. Home runs, RBIs, batting average.
That's not what I said.
That's not what I said. Basically all you do.
That's not what I said. I'm saying, what is he saying? What is he saying?
John is saying, I'm saying if we take him in place of Gallo, Gallo is not worth anything. Even our prospect.
First of all,
Gallo's going to be a whole separate trade.
No, the only team that I've heard would be interested in Gallo is the Texas Rangers, and that's because they drafted him. So that's the only team, and they're not going to get anything for Gallo.
Right. That's a completely separate trade.
But that's not. No. But again,
a prospect, maybe.
But you're missing the point, though. The point isn't getting anything for Gallo. The point is shedding that salary so you can take someone else out.
Well, he's a free agent after this year, man. So he's done. The Yankees only signed him 1 year. So the Yankees are just trying to get a prospect for him. There's no salary after this year.
Right. But still doesn't matter because the Yankees don't want to pay that luxury tax because if they go over next year, you'd be part of the repeater thing because it counts if you go over this year. This would be a year over what luxury tax, whatever. What do we call this?
Yeah, luxury tax. That's right.
Right. So if they don't shed that salary and take someone else on and they go over, boom, here's year 1 of whatever. And so next year is a multiplier. They don't want to do that.
The interesting thing about the Yankees going into the trade deadline, and a lot of people are going to sit here, they do need another bat. Are they desperate for another bat? Probably not. I do believe Brian Cashman will add an arm, either in relief or in the starting rotation. I think the one thing that you can't attack from what Brian Cashman has done is the Yankee fans for years have been saying that this guy's out of his league. The Yankees need to get rid of him. This man has made quality moves at the trade deadline and has worked for this organization. Now you're going to say, well, we haven't won for 11 years. Okay, and there's a lot of teams that haven't won for 30 years, 40 years, 20 years, 70 years. To sit here and say that they haven't won 11 years. Now, again, the Yankees this year, it's a big year for the Yankees because going into the offseason, they could lose their best player. They can lose him. And more than likely, they will lose Aaron Judge because I don't think
why do they need more pieces, though? If you get more pieces, that implies you'd be building a team.
And here's the thing. If the Yankees don't believe they can re-sign Aaron Judge, then trade him at the trade deadline. Honestly, get as much as you can for him. If you're really thinking that you can't re-sign him, and I know everybody thinks I'm crazy, but
that is crazy.
It is, and I know it is.
You'd rather win a World Series.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I understand. Yeah, everybody's going to say Aaron Judge is going to play a big part of this World Series. Maybe so, but again, the last 2 years for the wild card games, Aaron Judge has not played well. Okay, so I know everybody's going to say, well, we don't know what he's going to do this year. He's having a career year. We've also seen guys have career years and get into the playoffs and can't hit a lick. So if you know that you can't re-sign him,
not fair to Judge.
I'm just saying what I'm saying. If you think that you can't sign him and you have a problem re-signing him, maybe the thought is to try to trade him and get as much as you can back for him. Because you can get a boatload back for Aaron Judge. You could.
But hold on. You definitely could. But would you rather trade Judge for prospects that, I mean, let's face it, with the Yankees prospects almost never play.
Let me ask you this question.
Hold on, I'm still going.
Mm-hmm.
And you would rather risk not winning the World Series just to possibly get a pitching prospect or a third base prospect that may or may not pan out.
Okay, here's my question. If the Yankees could trade him to Seattle and get that kid Rodriguez and a couple of prospects,
Which would never happen.
Why wouldn't it happen?
Because that Judge is on an expiring contract and they're not going to give up something that valuable for someone they're probably wouldn't be able to sign.
Well, we know Seattle will absolutely offer, offer the money to Aaron Judge. They like paying players. They've done it before. We've seen them do it. Why not? And how's this?
In 6 months, because the money's going to be the money, and he's going to get whatever he really wants, but also choose where he wants to.
Maybe. Judge is 30 years old. He's not too old. He's going to be 31 next year. Judge has a good 5-6 years left in his career.
This isn't the Soto thing where Soto would have value because there's years left on his contract. Judge is a free agent in 3 months.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you know that you can sign him, and again, I don't know what the Yankees are trying to do, but again, I'm not going to judge Brian Cashman on anything he does because the man knows what he's doing. He's always been successful in every position that he's been in. So even this year, everybody was laughing that he didn't make any big moves. No, he didn't do this. He didn't bring Scherzer. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you look at the Yankees now. I mean, they made 1 or 2 trades. They brought up their youngsters, put them in the bullpen, and he looks like the smartest man in the world. Okay,
but it's just so funny with Yankees and their prospects because all we ever hear, no offense, all we ever hear is Yankee prospects. Dude, they never come up and play. Justice Sheffield never played.
I mean, you keep bringing up Justice Sheffield because what I said about Justice Sheffield.
No, but he was a top prospect, was he not?
He was. Yes, he came from the Cleveland Indians organization.
Clint Frazier, top prospect.
Yep, Cleveland Indians. All the Cleveland Indian prospects that they got sucked.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, all Yankee fans do is harp on all these prospects that never come up and play.
That's not true because the Yankees prospects, Aaron Judge prospect came up great. Savarino prospect, good.
One in a million.
No, come on, Jeff.
You guys have had a ton of really good prospects that just, dude, Clint Frazier was never going to jump any of those guys to get in the lineup. He wasn't. Like in Duhar, they tried, didn't work.
Well, Andujar, he got hurt. He was up for Rookie of the Year when he came up.
Yeah, he lost to Ohtani.
Yes, he lost to Ohtani, and then he got hurt. He was on his way, and then he got hurt, and then everything fell apart. Everything fell apart for him by sliding into a home plate, I think it was, or second base, or whatever it was.
Right, but you can say the same thing for Frazier. Injuries set him back too.
Oh, dude, Frazier was never good. He was never good. He was never good, dude.
Yeah, Speedy, were Yankee fans building up?
Yeah, he was never good, dude. He was never good.
Yeah, they were building him up because he was a good prospect at
Yeah.
that time, but
He was never.
they were always still more.
I
in love
love
with Judge.
Justice Sheffield because I heard everything, but he didn't turn out to be anything. And then the Yankees traded him, and he became a bust. So
this is why it's so dangerous to.
But he wasn't a Yankee draft pick. He was a Cleveland Indians draft pick. He wasn't a Yankees. I'm just saying he wasn't. You say draft pick. You say Gleyber Torres isn't a Yankee draft pick, so you can't say him. Okay, same thing with Justice Sheffield. He wasn't a Yankee draft pick.
But it was but he was still in the system and still.
All right, so Gleyber Torres is a Yankee. He's in the system.
Torres was in the minors with the Yankees for like 2 weeks before they.
No, he wasn't.
He was in there for a full year.
He was there for a full year.
He was traded in 16.
He was there for a full year. He never was called up by the Cubs. I guess then he was a Yankees prospect.
Yeah.
So
He didn't
there
play
you
in
go.
17.
And Gleyber Torres is a good player. So is Aaron Judge. So is Averino. They're all good players. So to say that they're not. How about this? Who's the pitcher that they have? That is the lefty. That we talk about.
Oh, Clark Schmidt.
Montgomery?
No, the guy in their rotation.
Montgomery.
Right now.
Yeah, he's
Montgomery. Yeah, Montgomery.
Didn't I just say Montgomery?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry. I'm talking to Speedy, not you. Montgomery. He's a guy from the.
Come up with the correct answer, you wouldn't need me, would you?
Montgomery is a guy. There's a prospect from the Yankees farm system. Okay. Oh, by the way, Nestor Cortez was drafted by the Yankees before they lost him to Baltimore. I looked it up. Nestor Cortez was drafted by Brian Cashman. So Nestor Cortez, another Yankee prospect. All right.
But very few of them have come up. You guys have
very few of them. I just named you 5 of them that are part of this team.
They had a loaded farm system.
Garrett Cole was drafted by the Yankees before he decided to go back. He was drafted by the Yankees, and then he went back to play for UCLA.
Never showed up.
That's fine. That's fine, but he was still drafted. All right, fine, but he still was drafted by the Yankees.
Right? Yeah. No, that's fine.
All right.
And he saw that team. He was like, "I quit."
No, he saw that team. I quit. When he was drafted by the Yankees were still very good.
Yeah, they were losing in the LCSs every year. That was that stretch.
I don't know why he wanted to play for UCLA. He grew up wanting to play for UCLA. That's why he did it. Nothing to do with that. He grew up a Yankee fan.
He was drafted right around the time the Yankees
He grew
lost
up a
back-to-back
Yankee fan.
LCSs.
He was in a World Series. They had a picture of him in the World Series.
Always had good prospects that don't come up because there's always a super solid player in the major leagues that they're never going to
The fact is, Jeff, sitting here right now, I can name a bunch of players that are part of this organization. Schmidt, King, they're all Yankee prospects.
Oh yeah,
all big parts of what the Yankees are doing.
Albert Abreu came up this year too.
I like King. Pride of Bishop Hendricken High School, Warwick, Rhode Island.
Okay, I'm just saying these are all Yankee prospects. I would say out of 24, 25 players on this team right now, I would say 12 or 13 of them are all Yankee prospects.
Right, but as far as position players, like if you have a right fielder, you might as well go somewhere else. You might as well ask to be traded because you're not jumping Aaron Judge. If you play left field, you might as well ask to be traded because you're not jumping Giancarlo Stanton. If you played second base or utility or whatever, you're not jumping DJ LeMahieu. If you play first base, you're not getting in ahead of Rizzo. Like all of these guys that you have for prospects, and you do have some good ones at those positions, they're never coming up. Never. Anthony Rizzo has to fall down and break both legs for someone to be like.
Well, a lot of their prospects that they have right now, they're not expected to come up. I mean, the only one is Volpe.
Right.
That's the only one. And Pariza. And they're going to trade one of them. And they're going to trade one of them.
But they've had good players at those positions that are just never going to come up. The Yankees are a super solid team every year. So trading for more prospects just seems weird because you have a chance to win a World Series this year with Judge. Why wouldn't you don't value a World Series more than you value, maybe this kid in a couple of years will take his position?
Well, they believe Dominguez is going to take Aaron Judge's position. I really do believe that. I mean, everything that we've heard about the kid is He's a
Right,
5-tool
but
player,
it's not
righty,
right.
lefty,
That's great,
power.
but that's great, but it's also not right now, which is what matters.
Well, you're right. He's 19 years old. Still.
Right. Dominguez is probably not going to come up for a while. By that
No,
point,
3 years
Aaron
from
Judge
now.
is not going to be a center fielder.
Yeah, 3 years from now.
And I'm not shitting on Dominguez. I don't care. Like, he could be the next great player. He might be the next great player.
He might not be.
He's not going to help you win a World Series this year. So why would you trade Judge for prospects?
I'm sitting here right now. I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. They're probably not trading him. But if you know he's not coming back and you think that you could get something back for him, then trade him. That's all I'm saying. That's it. There's no more argument to this. I don't care. They're probably not. But if you know he's not coming back, if I was running this organization, I'd say, you know what? If he's saying he's not coming, we know we're not going to bring him back.
I mean, did you see that interview he did before the game tonight?
No.
He was just laughing. Yeah, he was laughing. I saw that.
Woof.
Yeah, he's not going to give you. He's not going to give you an answer if he's coming back.
The reporter put him right on the spot and was like, "What do you say to young Yankee fans who think, you're not coming back?"
He said the rest of the team was good too.
Right. Well, hold on. Right, but that's what he said. He was like, "Well, if I'm not here, the rest of the team's still pretty good."
Mm-hmm. Okay, which implied he could leave. Yeah, something we know already.
Didn't imply he was going. It implied he was already gone, basically.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. And
go and watch it. It was uncomfortable.
I saw it. I saw the interview. I don't think he knows yet he's leaving.
I think he's got a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think he does too. And listen, if he leaves, by all means, that's his decision. Nobody's telling him to stay. Yankee fans will be upset. They move on. You still have a player on that roster that hits just like him.
But you don't think that if he knows
Giancarlo's what, 32, 33? He's only a year older than Aaron Judge, and he's what, hit 7 lefts or what was these 24 home runs? He's got what, 7 less?
7 less. Yeah,
7 less than him. I mean, is that a big deal?
But you don't think.
I think he's got more RBIs actually.
Yeah, he does.
You don't think that if Aaron Judge knows he wants to be somewhere else, you don't think he should go to the team and ask to be traded?
Again, I don't know what Aaron Judge is thinking, man. But if you're a Yankee fan right now and you're going to cry about Aaron Judge, you have a player still there that is just as good as he is. Okay,
Aaron Hicks.
No, I just told you, Giancarlo Stanton is just as good as Aaron Judge is. Just as good.
He's not. Yeah. He's not. Aaron Judge is, again, a better defender. Much better. If you put Giancarlo's... Aaron Judge has the ability to play multiple outfield positions. Giancarlo Stanton's either a DH or a lazy left fielder.
I don't know about lazy. He's played very well this year, dude. And he's played left field and right. He's played left field and right.
Can you move Giancarlo Stanton to center?
That's the only position he can't play. That's the only position he can't play. He
Aaron Judge is much better than him.
I wouldn't say much better. He's better, but he's not much better. And I just said it. If you lose Aaron Judge, are you losing that much? I don't know. I don't think so. The Yankees aren't. You're not going to jump off a plank and say, "Oh, the Yankees aren't going to figure things out." They'll find somebody to fill in that spot.
Get hurt, unfortunately, when guys get hurt, I don't wish injuries upon anyone anywhere ever. I thought Aaron Hicks broke his leg. That was a terrible foul ball off his shin. But things like that, unfortunate things like that happen.
Dude.
And having Judge, who's versatile enough to cover those other positions versus Giancarlo Stanton.
Dude, I'm not taking away if Aaron Judge leaves the Yankees, it wouldn't be upsetting. But if he does, the Yankees will find a way to move on. It's not like, there was a reason why he didn't sign that extension. And I believe there's a reason why he's waiting until the offseason. I really believe he wants to leave. Go listen to everything that I've said. Do I think Aaron Judge is coming back next year? No, I don't.
Which makes no sense. He should go to the team and tell them he wants to be traded so they can get something for him.
I do.
It's the John Tavares effect.
I think
he should go to them and tell them, trade me now so I can help you.
I think he should. I think if he's telling the Yankees he doesn't want to be there, then yes, trade him. He does. I think the Yankees know he's not coming back. And if the Yankees know that, then you trade him. You trade him. I understand what you're saying. But in the mental thought of where your organization is, you can get you can definitely get something good back for him, even if it's a rental. You might not get as much back, but you can get
top. Get something good for him.
You'll probably get a top prospect from an organization. I would do it.
You could.
If he's telling you that he's going to go to San Francisco, then you tell San Francisco, okay, I want your top prospect. I'll give you Aaron Judge. No, whatever.
But Judge should be going to the front office and begging them to trade him.
I don't know if he's going to beg them. And
not what they're playing as well as they have.
But he should. That's what he should do. He owes it to the organization.
He doesn't owe anybody anything. Okay.
Of course he does. This is the John Tavares argument. If he knows he's leaving, he needs to go to the front office and beg them to trade him.
There's a difference between that and the Islanders that were a fringe playoff team.
Because if you don't help the team, then we're going to throw things at you when you come back.
All right,
so you need to go to the front office and say, I
Jeff,
need to be traded so I can help
you
the
attack
team.
LeBron James for what he says about Boston players and Boston fans. Okay, you attack him. Every single athlete that said something bad about Boston, you have to find a way to attack the New York. But every single, there are tons and tons of players that say what Boston fans are. But all of a sudden, when a player says it, you want to go right back to the New Yorkers. You're a joke, man.
Again, I'm not arguing if that's LeBron's experience, that's LeBron's experience, and I'm not arguing.
That's a ton of. Well, that's analysts that tell us that Boston fans are the worst.
Right.
So please.
Right. But here's the other side. If Boston fans are really that bad, why does LeBron own a piece of a Boston team?
Who cares?
Why
Because
because
it's a part of his. He's a multi-billionaire. That's why he cares about. He cares about money.
But watching this show has made me learn that, like, unless you go to the organization and beg them to trade you so you can
Thank you,
help
Jeff.
them,
Thank you,
then
Jeff.
You'll be a villain like Tavares.
Talk to you
Isn't that
Thursday,
the Tavares
Jeff.
argument?
Thank
and
you,
then
Jeff.
they'll throw snakes at you. When
Thank
you come
you,
back to town.
Jeff.
They'll throw things at you, and you'll
Thank
just be
you,
a villain,
Jeff.
And you need to help the hometown team because that's your obligation.
Thank you, Jeff.
Fuck the Yankees.
All right, what a way to go out. He's off. He's off.
Jeff. Sometimes I wonder about that guy, man. Sometimes I wonder about him. Interesting dude. Anyways, great show tonight. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. Steve Van over there at Sportsline, NFL analyst. Thank you for him. Brandon Jacobs, you were fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday. Until then, this is Zero Marks and Speedy Petey saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.